insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888 or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888 or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson here. You know when you're at the mall and you go to those directory signs, the one that says you are here? Well, imagine that directory is a map of your preparation for retirement. Would you know where you are? My friend Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group is offering you the opportunity to not only find yourself on that map, but also find the route toward a successful retirement. He calls it his retirement roadmap. You'll get an analysis of where you are right now, whether you're at risk if the market drops again, whether you're taking advantage of the latest tax changes, and much, much more. To get an idea where you stand on the road to retirement, call my friend Tom Fortino at the Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-934-1855. That's 630-934-1855. And ask for the retirement roadmap or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And don't forget to listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560, The Answer at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
It's 5:11. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Blindster.com. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows. Shipping is free. Save big. Blindster.com. Pretty smooth start to the morning. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson all doing okay. Stevenson outbound right at the Tri-State. Slight delays due to construction cleanup there. And or just a report a moment ago. Accident, right lane blocked, westbound I-90, the Jane Addams out in Hampshire just before US 20. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist Steve Williams.
Warm day, variable cloudiness, thunderstorm in the high 85. Warm and humid tonight. A thunderstorm could be a strong one early. Damaging wind, flash flooding, and hail, low 69. A thunderstorm in spots tomorrow, the high at 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Right now, 58 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Hi, I'm Donna. I love gardening. I love to go on walks with my husband and my dog, and I love taking Balance of Nature. It makes me feel sparkly every single day. It's just an amazing product. I'm 56, but I feel 21. I feel so much alive. Balance of Nature is magic in a bottle, and I really love it.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited-time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonleyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donley, and I'll see you at the auction.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Citizens must have faith in their justice system, that people will be treated equally under the law, and that defendants are being prosecuted because of what they've done, rather than who they are. Donald Trump's trial has set a dangerous precedent. The judge allowed the entire case to be prosecuted without ever telling Trump what some of the charges were. His lawyers couldn't defend him against the alleged predicate crime that transformed a misdemeanor, allegedly falsifying business records, into a felony. No one knew what it supposedly was until after the defense was done. This violates any defendant's Sixth Amendment right to know what the charges against him are. The left has taken lawfare to extremes. There may be no going back. History tells us it's much easier to destroy norms than to restore public trust once it has been broken. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's SPECTRIOS.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. As we talked about on Friday, after Trump's conviction on Thursday, don't get too hung up on the immediate polling, the snap polling that comes out in the next few days. The polling that came out, for example, the Morning Consult poll that came out on Friday, 54% of registered voters strongly or somewhat approve of the guilty verdict compared to 34% who strongly or somewhat disapprove. The headline, 49% of independents and 15% of Republicans said Trump should end his campaign. And then after you get that, those scare headlines, the 49% of independents think you should drop out. Then you look at the horse race. Really hasn't changed to statistical dead heat, according to the Morning Consult poll. Point is that, as we discuss, and just a reminder, as the polls, the splashy headlines with the polls that have already come and will come, you have half the country that is just now talking about it because everybody's been talking about it over the last few days and obviously through the weekend, and starting to formulate their opinion and starting to understand the implications. And could he really go to jail? Less people are comfortable with that. A majority say he should get probation instead of prison. And how, if he is sentenced to prison, then how that changes voters' attitudes. I think the net at present is it really hasn't moved the needle. That's not saying it won't, and it won't on the margins in states where it matters. Partly that's going to be how it's messaged, in addition to what transpires over the next 30 days and then over the next 5 months. But I just wouldn't live and die by the snap polls that are done, as this is still such a volatile situation.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Because it was weird on the Sunday talkies, even the Democrats, what was the charge? What was the crime? Not the charge, but what was the crime? And people were stumbling on that. I mean, because there is no, they changed the rules in New York at the state level, but going off of a federal count, and changed it just so that they could get Trump, so they could call him a convicted felon.
Yeah, I guess that's part of the messaging, and we'll see if you can generate enough attention span from low information voters to penetrate that message. I'm not sure you can, but I think Trump has already moved on, at least with the prospect of the sentencing hearing on July 11th. And this was a part of the conversation he had with the crew over at Fox and Friends, specifically in this exchange, Pete Hegseth, about the prospect of going to jail. And as we predicted, that does not daunt Donald.
You've set the arraignment date for 4 days before the RNC.
Yeah, well, that's part of the game.
It is. Some have suggested you could appeal straight to the Supreme Court because of the special nature of this case. When it comes to the legal maze that you're still facing, and the judge could decide to say, hey, house arrest or even jail.
It could.
How do you face what that could look
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, "You don't beg for anything. You just the way it is. Think of it."
If they tried house arrest or
I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
At a certain point, there's a breaking point. Trump behind bars with a Secret Service detail, maybe. If in the next level of this farce that we're living through, there's a story out that.
What?
One of those man-hating shrews on The View, the one who pretends to be a lawyer.
Oh, Sunny Hostin?
Yeah. That she talked to somebody in Bragg's office, a close friend.
Yeah.
And that the expectation is that Bragg will recommend a 1-year sentence because sentencing to him a year would put him in Rikers.
312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line. I hope she's wrong. James Comey, remember him.
I'm familiar with him.
Yeah. Investigating the dossier that wasn't. He was foaming at the mouth about Trump going to prison and what that would look like.
They would just put him in a double wide somewhere out near the fence, out in the grass. And he would eat there, he'd shower there, he'd exercise there, he'd be away, as Danya Perry said, from general population, but it's obviously doable.
So your name was brought up in David Pecker's testimony, which was, of course, the first person who testified.
Okay, I mean it's nice that they've conceived of this. I know Eric Adams, his DOC director, is, or whoever runs the prison at Rikers, was well prepared for the arrival of Donald Trump and that exchange from a few weeks back. Yeah, the particulars of where he stays is sort of not the issue, Jim. The particular, the issue, I should say, is that he is there, that he is imprisoned,
Right.
that he has been deprived of his freedom. That's what people are going to be talking about, not his accommodations, not whether or not he's got the gold toilet in his double wide, separated from general population. The prospect of prison, and when again we have to see what happens with the appeals, and particularly the one that I anticipate could come as early as this week, that will be sent to the highest court in the land, and we'll see if they take that up, because that would be a game changer as well. The other thing that transpired over the weekend is that saying this was a political trial, saying this was about politics, not the law, calling it lawfare, not accepting the jury verdict is now like not accepting the results of the 2020
Right.
election.
Yep.
That's a new thing.
We're all insurrectionists all over again.
So if
Take
you
two.
go on with Clinton Foundation Donor Zero, or you go on with that Welker chick on Meet the Press, you're just going to be asked for 10 minutes whether you accept. Do you accept the results of the 2020 election? Will you certify the results of the 2024 election regardless of outcome? And do you accept the jury verdict in Manhattan? And this is a good example of it. Stephanopoulos with one of Trump's defense attorneys, Will Sharf.
And of course, the Attorney General in Manhattan has nothing to do with the Department of Justice. Finally, what do you expect from the sentencing process?
I vehemently disagree that the district attorney in New York was not politically motivated here, and I vehemently disagree that President Biden and his political allies aren't up to their necks in this prosecution. I think the fact
There's
that
no
the Biden
evidence of that,
campaign
sir.
was-
Sir, there's no. I'm not going to let you continue to say that. There's just zero evidence of that.
Well, how about the
DA
fact
in
that
Manhattan
Matthew
is
Colangelo
elected.
was standing over Alvin Bragg's shoulder when he announced this verdict? I mean, Colangelo was the #3 official in the Biden Department of Justice who suddenly disappears and shows up as an assistant district attorney right as Trump's case in New York starts to proceed.
After
you want
the
to talk about
decision was
political
made,
you want to talk about political
This
coordination?
has nothing
George,
to
it's
do.
right
This
there
has
in front of
nothing to do. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with President Biden. Do you want to answer the question about the sentencing process or not?
I completely disagree that this has nothing to do with President Biden. With respect to sentencing, as I said before, we're going to vigorously challenge this case on appeal. I don't think President Trump is going to end up being subject to any sentence whatsoever, and we look forward to getting this case into the next court and taking this again all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary to vindicate President Trump's rights.
Thanks for your time this morning.
Yeah, sir.
Appreciate it, George.
Yeah, and that's going to be a debate moderator.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, maybe.
Well, we'll see.
It's on ABC News, and he is the political senior correspondent.
Yeah. So it'll be
And executive producer.
It'll just be him or a Stephanopoulos surrogate asking Trump for the entirety of the debate. Do you accept the results of the 2020 election? Do you accept the jury verdict? Will you accept the results of the 2024 election? Rich, Indian Head Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Rich.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I just wanted to ask you, did you hear anything about Benny Thompson trying to pass a bill to strip the Secret Service protection from convicted felons?
I heard him talk about that a while back.
What you're talking about.
Yeah, before
Right.
the conviction, but I haven't seen anything in legislative form, and I don't think he's going to get that through the House. So,
Right.
yeah, thanks for the
I
call.
was just wondering if you heard that. All right, thanks.
Yeah. No, I did hear it. I mean, he was, saber-rattling because, of course, on the left, everybody wants to outdo one another. That's what you've seen with the various iterations of their lawfare. Everyone wants their turn at the wheel, and the way you get your turn at the wheel, the way that you get a star turn on This Week with George, or Meet the Press with Kristen, or Face the Nation with Margaret, is by being more punitive than the nitwit sitting next to you when it comes to Trump. Sean, Northwest Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, I don't know if Kevin Hart is a Trump fan, but he should do a commercial or an ad with Kevin Hart to get ready for prison, like in the movie Get Hard, where Will Ferrell, this rich white man, had to go to prison.
Interesting sequel idea. Yeah, thanks for the call.
He had a tutor, Kevin Hart.
Yeah, not a huge Kevin Hart fan.
I know you don't.
He's just not funny. His movies are terrible. I mean, in our day,
yes,
we had comedic actors like Eddie Murphy who made good movies, made funny movies. Kevin Hart, he's not cutting it. And again, he didn't do. Have you seen the Tom Brady roast yet?
No, I have not.
I thought he was a pretty weak MC. Anyway, so when we come back, we won't talk more about Kevin Hart's filmography. We'll get to the Republican response, and I'm not talking about on the Sunday talk shows. I mean in substance, because there's calls for a pretty aggressive Republican response. There are some senators who've made somewhat of 8 senators in particular, conservative senators who've made somewhat of a response. We'll take your temperature on that discussion and the actions that have been taken so far at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
5:30, 60 degrees and mostly cloudy skies. Palestinian health officials say Israeli strikes killed 11 overnight into this morning, including a woman and 3 children, after the Israeli military said the body of a man presumed to be that of a hostage was found in a community near the Gaza border. The start of Hunter Biden's criminal trial is just hours away in Delaware. Fox's John Scott has a preview for us this morning.
Jury selection begins in Hunter Biden's federal gun trial. The president's son faces 3 charges brought by the special counsel, David Weiss. He's accused of buying and possessing a firearm while addicted to illegal drugs, which is a violation of federal law. Hunter Biden has pleaded not guilty and claims he is being politically targeted.
Hunter Biden could face up to 25 years in prison if convicted on all 3 felony charges. History has been made in Mexico with the election of the country's first ever female president. Progressive Claudia Sheinbaum is the former mayor of Mexico City and will succeed President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. 1 person is dead, at least 24 injured after a mass shooting in Ohio. Akron Police Chief Brian Harding.
Based on the layout of the spent shell casing, it appears consistent with someone driving by shooting out of a car. We believe that some individuals at the party may have returned fire based on physical evidence at the scene.
At least 2 victims remain in critical condition as of this morning. It's not clear what led to the shooting. Crews are making a little bit of progress, restoring water to Atlanta area residents following a massive water main break. Word from city officials this morning is Atlanta remains under a state of emergency after the break left many parts of downtown and some fringe areas of downtown without water for the whole weekend. A 4-year-old boy is dead after he was struck by a pickup truck on Chicago's South Side. The police say the incident happened yesterday in the 8100 block of South Harper Avenue.
The truck hit him and he fell, and then the back tire rolled over his head. I just started praying, and I started trying to help out any way that I could.
The child was sent to the hospital, later pronounced dead. The driver cited for failure to yield. A man was killed, 2 others injured after a gunman opened fire into a home in Joliet late Saturday night. A 23-year-old man was pronounced dead on the scene. A carnival shut down early in the south suburbs Sunday evening after a large fight broke out. Posen Fest 2024 was closed due to safety concerns. Police made multiple arrests. Up to 1,000 motorcyclists hit the Chicago streets Sunday morning, honoring fallen police officers and raising money for the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation in the annual Ride to Remember.
They were like the first on the scene pretty much, after our spouses were killed. They help us financially to get through those first few days, which are so difficult.
The late Commander Paul Bauer's wife, Erin Bauer. The event helps CPMF raise funds for Gold Star families while honoring fallen officers and those catastrophically injured in the line of duty. Over the last 20 years, CPMF has donated $20 million to Gold Star families. Reds over the Cubs 5-2. White Sox got swept by the Brew Crew in a 6-3 loss in the finale from Milwaukee. Sox now gear up for a 2-game set against the rival Cubs at Wrigley tomorrow night. Bears hit the practice field this week for mandatory minicamp. NBA Finals tip this week. Jason Tatum and the Celtics host Luka and the Mavericks in Game 1 on Thursday. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities. Join today. 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk likes what he's seeing from Trump.
Donald Trump is up in every major poll. Donald Trump is, quote, the favorite. Yet Donald Trump is not running this campaign in 2024. He's not playing it safe. And I love that about his attitude right now. I believe he is being rewarded in the polls because he's willing to go to bodegas, go into the Bronx, and go into the Libertarian Convention.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Maria and Diane with the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of App Properties Christie's International. We wanted to tell you why we placed number 9 in Illinois as the top producing real estate team and number 1 in Arlington Heights.
In the past 9 years, we assisted 1,975 buyers and sellers achieve the American dream of home ownership, selling $720 million in real estate.
If you are considering making a move, we can help you get the most value for your home in today's market.
Maria and I have over 50 years of combined experience. We take a conservative approach in protecting your asset and will give you the direction and professional advice needed to achieve a successful transaction.
Our pledge to you is to have your best interest at heart. So get the special attention you deserve with our white glove service from our city division to the suburbs.
Contact us for a free, no-obligation market analysis at thedmregroup.com. That's thedmregroup.com.
Information verification, MRED LLC, 2013 to 2022. Real Trends Large Teams 2022.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Hi, I'm Tom. Welcome to my garage. I don't need new cars. In fact, I like old cars. Old cars remind me of me. I take Balance of Nature. I feel great. Take my word for it. If you want to feel great, take Balance of Nature. You'll never regret it.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Sebastian Gorka, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, followed by Stacey Washington at 5. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
In Illinois, 96% of farms are family-owned and operated. I'm Felicity. I'm Audrey.
And I'm Christian. We are farm kids from Peoria County.
And our family is part of that 96%. Our mom and dad are passionate about growing safe food and fuel, and about farming better today than yesterday. If you want to learn more about Illinois farm families like ours,
visit www.watchusgrow.org/corn.
This message is brought to you by the Illinois Corn Checkoff.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
5:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Naperville, 75th eastbound between Naper Boulevard and Wehrle. Closed due to a fire reported in that area this morning. We're monitoring that for you. Route 53, stop-and-go traffic already northbound between Algonquin and Kirchhoff. And delays on the Dan Ryan coming inbound already. South End, 79th up through 71st. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, a warm day ahead, variable clouds, thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance anyway, high 85. Mostly cloudy and 60 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. How do you want Republicans to react to the Trump conviction in terms of substantively what do you want them to do? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So here's one thing that 8 Republican senators did. It's only 8, so, but in the Senate, one senator can have a huge impact because, of course, of the filibuster. But Lee, Tuberville, Blackburn, Marshall, Rubio, Scott, Schmidt, and Vance. The White House has made a mockery of the rule of law and fundamentally altered our politics in un-American ways. As a Senate Republican conference, we are unwilling to aid and abet this White House in its project to tear this country apart. To that end, we will not, 1, allow any increase to non-security related funding for this administration or any appropriations bill which funds partisan lawfare. 2, vote to confirm this administration's political and judicial appointees. 3, allow expedited consideration and passage of Democrat legislation or authorities that are not directly relevant to the safety of the American people. The big one, I would say, I know appropriations, but it's not that big a one, especially with 8. The biggest one is stopping all appointments, particularly the judicial ones. The political ones will come and go for the most part, but the judicial ones, of course, won't, because we're talking about lifetime appointments to the federal bench and obviously the Supreme Court where there are vacancy. So 8 senators saying we're done, just categorically in response to what transpired in Manhattan, we will not confirm any of Biden's nominees, political and judicial, and we will put a halt best we can to any spending priorities of this administration, too. Is that good enough?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line. It is up and running, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Alternatively, or one other proposal for consideration, Sean Davis from the Federalists. If you're a Republican running for office, you can just go ahead and throw away all of your elegant little policy proposals for this or that corporate exclusion or tax subsidy. Give me a list of which Democrat officials you're going to put in prison or get lost. There's only one way to deal with nuclear war, which is what Democrats have unleashed, and that is mutually assured destruction. Democrats declared war on our entire system of justice and the rule of law, and our only options are victory or defeat. I intend to win. Do you? MAD, mutually assured destruction. That's what Sean Davis, and he's not the only one, arguing. So, right, forget policy proposals. This is total war, and what I want to hear from Republicans is who's on your hit list, locally or nationally, depending on what office you're running for, but who's on your hit list? What are you going to do? I'd be interested to see, as we talked about last week with John Solomon, if there is heightened pressure being put on those recalcitrant House Republicans. Solomon said between 20 and 40 House Republicans who will not vote to move articles of impeachment against Mr. 10%, the big guy. It'll be particularly interesting. Yeah, it'll be particularly interesting, not just with what happened in Manhattan, but also what is getting underway, as Mike Scott was reporting this week, and that's Baby Boy Hunter's trial and what may come out, as part of the ancillary business of that trial on the federal gun charge that he's facing.
Right. because the laptop is going to be available for evidence in the trial.
So, strongly worded letters from the Senate, but that contain specific action, like blocking appointments, as I mentioned. They're not mutually exclusive. You can do all of the above, and the argument that it is time to use the law where Republicans have access to it to their advantage politically, just as you saw Alvin Bragg do it, and Letitia James, for that matter, do it in New York City and New York State, just as you're seeing Fani Willis trying to do it in Fulton County, and so forth.
Dan and Amy, text message, big deal. They wrote a letter. Whoop-dee. That letter should be signed by every GOP senator.
Well, it should, but it's not going to be. And so, there's the rub. And this speaks to what pressure will Republican rank and file, MAGA rank and file, put on legislators who are trying to stay out of the fray rather than venturing into the fray, announcing they're venturing into the fray and taking substantive action to the extent they have the power in the direction of said power, like these 8 Senate Republicans. It's something. Now, I would say, I'm skeptical too, so I understand the jaundiced eye with which a lot of people are looking at this, because even if Trump had been acquitted, these 8 Republicans should say they and every other one, but these 8 Republicans that signed this letter and said, we're going to block your appointments, they should have done that per the indictment. The outcome didn't matter. Once he was indicted, the outcome matters, but you know what I mean? The affront was the indictment. Now, it was compounded with the conviction, but the indictment was wrong, so that's when we should have seen action taken. It's so funny how it's not even real to United States senators until there's a conviction. But the farce began with the indictment, right? If the underlying case was illegitimate, which people said from the outset, then you should have been making these pronouncements then. Always a little bit late to the dance, while the left is, pivoting and positioning and, pincering the right in every which direction. But there are calls now, and we'll see if those calls can be sustained. John Daniel Davidson writing at the Federalist as well. From now on, the civil war inside the GOP will be between those who understand they must do to Democrats what Democrats have done to Trump, and those who think they can trundle along with business as usual. And make no mistake, that divide in the Republican Party is very real. And it is. You're seeing it. You mentioned an example of it on Friday, Amy, with the response to a Maryland governor and Republican senatorial nominee Larry Hogan's call to respect the verdict. Chris LaCivita, who's the campaign manager for the Trump campaign, tweeted back at Larry Hogan, "You just ended your campaign." So, what they're talking about is real in terms of this civil war within the party. It sort of is another fissure along the lines of, do you have any questions about the 2020 election? You just categorically accept everything that transpired in the 2020 presidential election, and we just move on to, for the sake of our democracy and so on and so forth. You understand, you know the lines. You've heard them from the Mitch McConnells and the Mitt Romneys and the Larry Hogans of the world. And now they're saying the same thing with this verdict. And obviously you're hearing something very different from MAGA world. Mm-hmm. John and Piatone, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, I'm wondering if they're just eyeing the fact that they're going to squeeze Hunter so hard that he starts to roll over on his father. He would be key to any prosecution against the Biden family on any of this stuff.
Well, I agree, but I don't know what they can squeeze him with. I assume that he has the conversation's been had, as we talked about when he was finally indicted, that I pulled the line from was it City Hall with Danny Aiello?
Oh.
Anyway, we tried to close the door and we couldn't get it shut. So now, because they tried to derail the special prosecutor's investigation and that unholy deal that was thrown out by the judge, we tried to close the door, and we could get it shut, so you're going to have to go away for a little while. And I assume Hunter is going to be fine with that. So I don't know what they have to squeeze him with that would motivate him to not fall on the sword for the old man. Thanks for the call, John. Glenn in Orlando.
Every time an illegal alien kills an American, I want to see Joe Biden indicted by the red state attorney generals, and I want the MAGA or all Republicans to start fighting back big time. You cannot remain neutral.
Thanks for the call, Glenn. Lewis, Southside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. There's a saying, even if I lose, I win. Mm-hmm. And so what they have to do, the Republican Party has to do, is scorch earth time. They have destroyed the judiciary system, the trust in the judiciary system. So what they have to do is they have to go after Fani Willis and make an example out of her. There was a case. It was a DA. His name is Paul Howard Jr. And what had happened was they had got him on. He was using his charitable funds. He was using his charity as taking contributions from that to enrich his.
So it's some sort of tax fraud or whatever. Okay.
Right.
And
so that's the same thing that she was doing when she had Nathan Wade, where she was enriching herself, by funneling into him, what they call that a conflict of interest.
Yeah, possibly. Thanks for the call, Lewis. I mean, the point being that, again, use the power that you have to fully investigate somebody like Fani Willis. You have Jim Jordan doing that at the House level, looking at audits essentially of the money that's sent to these local DA's offices from the feds and how it was spent to see if there was any sort of misappropriation of funds and possible legal exposure there. What the Attorney General and the Georgia State Legislature will or won't do with respect to investigations into Fani Willis's conduct as Fulton County DA, the power that resides with the constitutional officers in Georgia and their legislature, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. That's the kind of stuff that Sean Davis and John Daniel Davidson and others are talking about who want to go mutually assured destruction in response. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a lot of other Republicans who just want to stay out of the fray. They are not willing to do what Hunter is going to do for the old man, which is fall on the sword for Trump. Mike in Littleton, Colorado.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for taking my call. Happy Monday. Again, to me, this is all the electorate is lost, and this is all theater to them. And they've turned a whole because of a lack of basic knowledge of civics. They can turn this whole thing into a popularity game. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. I hate Trump. My guy won. It's like some kind of football game to most people. And I don't even know how we fix. I mean, I would exhaust the language trying to find an adjective to describe people who would do that. Stupid doesn't work. Evil might be a little bit of a stretch, but this is where we are. And they elect the people who elect these people. And New York City, and if it had to pay for itself, maybe that would change things a little bit. But I can at least look at the skyline of New York and say, well, Trump helped build that. What has any of these other politicians done? Oh, they give me a pot of gruel. They give me a check. They give me a carve out. They give me a this or a that, and that's worth it to me. There's nothing you can do with that. just nothing. And it's sad. So thank you.
Thanks for the call, Mike. It's a problem. What he's describing is definitely a problem. Steve, Northwest Indiana.
Yeah, I was listening to another show last Friday morning, and I accidentally had it on. I was in the shower, turned the radio on. I couldn't get out and change it. Anyways, that's my excuse.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
They were interviewing a guy. Now, I don't follow Illinois politics that closely, so at least statewide. Anyways, they introduced this guy, I'm pretty sure as the ex-chairman of the Republican Party. He was a Mick, of course. Ryan, I think, was his name or something.
Brady.
But anyways, Brady, there you go.
Uh-huh.
So,
of course it was.
They were interviewing this guy about, the Trump trial, and from his answers, he either just made excuses or he was either stupid or lying.
No, he's lying.
I was thinking,
I'll tell you what he is in a second.
If I was in the emergency room and they said, this guy is the doctor that's going to give you the operation that's going to save your life, I'd say, give me the school nurse.
Yeah. So Pat Brady is a sort of the classic, never Trump, classic Quisling, enemy inside the perimeter. He is scum. He is an awful, evil person. He's not dumb, but he's a good example of what you're up against in some quarters in the Republican Party, particularly where the Republican Party was destroyed from within, like in a state like Illinois. Pat Brady, and this is so classic because this happened with Kinzinger over the weekend too. I saw something with Adam Kinzinger that I wanted to mention. But he is a case study, as is Adam Kinzinger. Once you go left on one matter, open the floodgates because you're left across the board. Pat Brady, the former Illinois Republican Party chairman, was a lobbyist for the LGBTQ identitarian politics outfit, Equality Illinois. Now he's on the board after we had a debate at the City Club a couple years ago. I know I'm getting into the weeds for your consideration, but it's just a great case study. We had a debate in the City Club a couple few years ago about the future of the Illinois Republican Party because he is an absolute traitor. There's nothing he says that is true. And he, I'm still pro-life, even though he was a never Trumper, as Amy said. That's true. But I'm still pro. Now he's on the board of Personal PAC, which is the pro-abortion, and I mean pro-abortion organization in Illinois. There is no compass. There is no center. He is a man without a chest to the extent he's even a man. There is no honor. There is just being part of the in crowd. And, of course, since he's a lobbyist, making money by being part of the in crowd. And he would sell out anyone for those 30 pieces of silver, as he had the entire Republican Party in Illinois, for example. Classic example of what you're dealing with. And this is some of what you're dealing with, too. Some people don't know the names as much. Some don't have the profile that would warrant general recognition. But this is what, the Speaker Johnsons of the world and the Jim Jordans and the Jim Comers and the Rick Scotts and the Mike Lees and the Rand Pauls, this is some of what they're dealing with in Washington, what I'm describing in Illinois.
Okay, well, the host likes to have this guy on because he's.
Of course he does. Were you listening to like? Yeah. Easy listening for octogenarians at WGN. Orion Samuelson wasn't available for the Farm Report. Thanks for the call, Steve. Eileen, Southside.
Hi.
Hi, Eileen.
Hi, good morning. I was surprised to get in. Thank you for taking my call. First of all, I'd like to say I love Donald Trump. I like everything about him, his stamina, his strength, his courage. But what I don't like what's going on now is the Republicans that are waiting to be elected, hoping to be, are not saying anything. It seems like they're just selfish, but they don't really realize what's happening. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's about the Republican Party. They wanted to destroy it, And I don't understand why no one has come other than the people that I hear about on the radio and on because I'm a radio person, who are rallying to this man. It's horrible when other countries are looking at this nation and laughing, at how we're tearing our own self down because of greed, and our eyes are so closed, and we won't open up to even see what's happening because it's not just about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Every Republican from henceforth and now forevermore.
Yep.
You know, and they're showing their cowardice, and I never saw that before.
Thanks so much for the call. Very good points, Eileen, and that's a very good description of what the internal fight is within the Republican Party. And as Sean Davis said, it's a fight we better win.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, I don't know if you've heard, Pride Month has kicked off. 6:06.
And the Boo Birds are back. We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Outside this morning, we'll have cloudy skies, and we're headed for some bumpy weather for later on in the afternoon. A 4-year-old boy was hit and killed by a pickup truck on the south side. A man charged in a deadly shooting rampage in Joliet. CPD and the fire department responding to boat fires on Lake Michigan. Reds pour on early runs to beat the Cubs, while the White Sox swept by the Brew Crew. WIND, Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Face Off with Fauci. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Dr. Anthony Fauci will be back on Capitol Hill today for a public hearing starting at 10 Eastern about COVID-19, its origins, and the federal government response.
The House subcommittee investigating the COVID-19 pandemic asking Dr. Anthony Fauci to turn over private emails and cell phone records related to the Wuhan Institute of Virology and EcoHealth. Transcripts released Friday from a 2-day closed-door interview show lawmakers pressing the former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases about the lab leak theory, with Dr. Fauci replying he has a completely open mind that it could be either a lab leak or a natural occurrence, but adding, if you look at the scientific data, I think the probability weighs much more heavily toward it being a natural occurrence. This, part of a probe into the origins of the virus, GOP lawmakers allege has unveiled efforts to evade public transparency. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Jury selection starts today for the president's son Hunter Biden's federal gun trial in Delaware. He's accused of lying about his illegal drug use when he bought a gun he ended up owning for 11 days. He spent this past weekend with his father in Delaware. Police in Akron, Ohio are looking for suspects in the shooting of 25 people, one of them killed, on a street where officers had earlier been called to break up a birthday party of more than 200 people.
They were called back around midnight after reports of gunshots.
We recovered 2 handguns at the scene. Based on the layout of the spent shell casing, it appears consistent with someone driving by shooting out of a car. We believe that some individuals at the party may have returned fire based on physical evidence at the scene.
Akron Police Chief Brian Harding says a 27-year-old male is dead. 2 victims are in critical condition. Kathleen Maloney, Fox News.
Texas House Democrat Sheila Jackson Lee says she's undergoing treatment for pancreatic cancer and will likely be absent from Congress from time to time. America's listening to Fox News.
.60 degrees, skies partly to mostly cloudy at 6:02 on AM 560. The answer.
Not 14, not 40, 4. It kind of hurts.
4-year-old boy is dead after he was struck by a pickup truck on Chicago's south side. Police say the incident happened yesterday in the 8100 block of South Harper. The driver was cited for failure to yield. A man was killed, 2 others injured after a gunman opened fire into a home in Joliet late Saturday night. 23-year-old man pronounced dead on the scene. A carnival shut down early in the south suburbs Sunday evening after a large fight broke out at Posen Park Fest 2024. Police made multiple arrests. No one hurt after 2 boats caught fire in Lake Michigan. Police marine units from Chicago responded to a distress call yesterday near 50th and Lakeshore Drive. They found a boat on fire there. 3 passengers were rescued. In a second incident, the marine units located a 60-foot boat named Misfortune, which had mechanical issues due to a fire. In the days after former President Donald Trump was convicted in his hush money trial in New York, the U.S. House Speaker visited Peoria. As keynote speaker for a GOP Lincoln Day dinner Saturday, House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters that the GOP's coffers are filling up post-conviction and says the verdict is backfiring on Democrats.
They envision for America not to be a constitutional republic, but some sort of
European-style socialist utopia or something. We understand that's a fool's errand. And so to preserve the republic and to save the greatest country in the history of the world, we have to get back to the defense of those foundations. That's what's at stake right now.
Johnson saying Republicans are the party of law and order, but when the judicial system is abused, it must be called out. Reds over the Cubs 5-2 at Wrigley Field, while the White Sox were swept by the Brewers with a 6-3 loss. The Sox now gearing up for a 2-game set against the Cubs at Wrigley beginning tomorrow night. The Super Regional drought will live on despite winning the Big Ten's regular season crown. Fighting Illini failed to generate much of any offense over 6 postseason games, ending its season with a blowout loss yesterday afternoon to Indiana State in the Lexington Regional of the NCAA tournament. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains the issue with the next generation.
Just having to listen to an opinion they don't agree with is considered an act of, quote, violence, unquote. That's right. That's exactly what the speech is, violence. This is what happens when no one ever loses and everyone gets a prize.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Chronic pain blows. You're miserable, and guess what? The people around you are miserable. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. Don't suffer any longer if you have knee, shoulder, back, or hip pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Folks, I'm talking lasting joint pain relief. There's no surgery, there's no drugs, there's no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. So you can walk, run, hike, play golf, pickleball, and move again pain-free. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in regenerative medicine. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, now open Saturdays. The number is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Well, the weather's warming up and summer's just around the corner. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Everyone knows the old saying, nothing lasts forever. Well, whoever said that obviously never bought a timeshare. Not only do your maintenance fees and assessment fees go on forever, they go up forever. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Over 10 years ago, I was a timeshare salesman. But once I saw the dark side of the business, I quit. I started helping folks get out of their timeshares. Since then, we've helped over 30,000 families by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-839-8484. That's 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Starting at the top, Edens right now is at 19 minutes and climbing Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy 36 into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson slows up inbound Harlem to Pulaski. Already 50 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive, I-57, an accident involving a motorcycle. It's northbound 57 right at Piatone Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Warm day, variable cloudiness, thunderstorm in the high 85. Warm and humid tonight. A thunderstorm could be a strong one early. Damaging wind, flash flooding, and hail, low 69. A thunderstorm in spots tomorrow, the high at 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
60 at O'Hare, 61 at Midway, 59 in Aurora. And your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. By the way, just a postscript on the conversation we were having at the end of last hour, talking about once a putative Republican or conservative adopts some portion of the left's policy agenda, then open the floodgates. They are leftists. They're going to be full-on, full-blown leftists. You see this happen over and over again. It's always jarring when it occurs, but it's almost inexorable. No, I'm just going to support redefinition of marriage. No, I'm just going to support abortion. No, I'm just going to support a ban on assault weapons. No, I'm just gonna vote for this backdoor Green New Deal. I'm just going to vote for this public works boondoggle that's throwaway to buy trade union votes. I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to do that, and I'm just going to... You're on board for the whole thing. And Pat Brady is an example of that. He started when he was the Republican Party chairman of the state of Illinois, Republican Party, and he unilaterally decided to come out in support of marriage redefinition. And back then, there was at least a little bit of self-respect that existed in the Republican Party, and he was summarily deposed as the state party chairman, in part because he just blindsided people. But that's what these people do. They're looking for their play. They're not looking for your play. They're not looking to represent the people that you were installed to represent, which in this case would be Republicans in Illinois. We had another example of this that came to my attention over the weekend. Adam Kinzinger. Adam Kinzinger is reportedly now chairing a group called Power the Polls, which is funded by George Soros. And they're also part of Work Elections, which is part of a new venture fund. So this is all about getting election workers into jurisdictions that are swing jurisdictions or jurisdictions in swing states to move the needle. Sort of what Mark Zuckerberg did last go-around.
With the Zucker boxes.
And with personnel in places like Green
right.
Bay. You know, essentially privatizing the administration of elections in certain places. So Kinzinger's not part of that. It's classic. No. He's just a never Trumper. No, he's not. And no, the never Trumpers are not never Trumpers. They're leftists. They're leftists. When Trump leaves the scene, they will not be coming back. They are, whatever they were or were pretending to be before, that is dead and buried. There will be no resurrection once Trump leaves the scene. Trump is an excuse for them.
Right.
He provides political cover for them to do what they really want to do, what they've chosen to do for whatever reason, which is advance the flag of the left. But do so in a way that presents them as sort of honorable. They took a principled stand, and that's why they're completely going over to the side of the neo-Marxists. I mean, it's laughable. But, of course, they are given cover by the press corps. locally, the Chicago press corps say, "Oh, former Illinois Republican Party chairman," as he supposedly gives him sort of credibility to speak as a Republican. He's a leftist. The same thing with Kinzinger. CNN will have, former Republican congressman. No, he's not. He's just he's a current neo-Marxist. That's the proper description.
And people should know Power of the Polls in 2020, they staffed 700,000 poll workers. So I don't know if they're gearing up to steal the 2024 election, but
well, I mean,
doesn't sound good.
Look, the conversation is over when you say the project's being funded by George Soros. I rest my case. QED. I mean, if you're working for an organization that's funded by George Soros, I think the body of work makes it pretty obvious what you're doing, whose interests you're tasked to advance, right? This is not controversial.
No, but I really did like your tweet in response to it about how, your biggest political errors in judgment was backing Kinzinger instead of Don Manzullo.
Yeah, and I've mentioned that before.
Yeah, you have, but it was just well written and well received by a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I know, because I'm the one guy in Illinois, in the Illinois Republican Party, who's made mistakes. I mean, that's you were wondering who it was.
Oh, it's
me. Yeah, I'm the one guy who's made some mistakes over the last 25 years. Speaking of this, the throwing in, which the last vestiges of the Illinois Republican Party represent in this state, many of them do this too, especially in these. P-hat-dominated suburbs where you have, just the weakest, most pathetic excuses for men, male impersonators. So they throw in with all this pride business.
Oh,
The same deal. Oh no, it's okay if men play women's sports. It's okay if we have tampons in the boys' room. I'm not going to make a. Right, yeah, you're just a neo-Marxist.
They're there.
Some of them perhaps don't even realize it. Sort of, they're so weak they just get chipped away a little bit at a time before there's nothing, and before they know it, there's nothing of who they thought they were left. It really does happen. You see it all the time, and this is how it's how you explain what's happened to suburban Chicago. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. This is so unwilling to highlight the lunacy of this all. I loved, since we've got this, compulsory celebration of people's sexual appetites going on right now all over the country. I love, my favorite so far was in Philly.
Oh, yeah.
Where you had the showdown between the model Hamas protesters and the homosexual celebrants. Did you see her? They're like, the spotlight's supposed to be on us,
right? And she kept moving forward with the band, and they would have none of it. And she was so shocked, the look of like, "What? You can't stop us." Well, guess what, honey? They did.
Well, who stopped who? I saw a bunch of dudes that looked like they were from the Blue Oyster Bar and Police Academy, and then you had a bunch of people with rainbow crap on, of course. I can't make heads or tails of it.
They're all lefties.
Well, I know, but
who's stopping who? That's a good point.
Well, but they're playing King of the Hill,
right?
Yeah, or Queen.
That's gonna happen here at our Gay Pride Parade.
And there was also a record set, and I wanted to make sure people were aware of this. So share it with your friends.
Do tell.
It's not for me to tell. It's for an official representative of, the Guinness Book of World Records to announce.
Okay.
You had 263. Drag Story Time is, of course, a literacy program. Literacy is the foundation for success through life. So that's why we had never happened before. Something felt different. My mom told us all we should go to bed early. Up with a free clam juice. Have a sparkling play. Give them all a big round of applause.
That's right. That's right. 263 drag queens for Drag Queen Story in Philadelphia. That is a world record. Can we do it, Chicago? Can we get 264 drag queens for a story hour? We could probably get them just in your neighborhood.
In the name of literacy?
Oh,
Please.
so, of course.
It's not, they'll look at me and let's celebrate my queerness and my, the fact that I could dress in drag. It's about them.
Drag Queen Story Hours. This literacy program. Of course it is. That's all it is. Absolutely. Please put that hook in my mouth. This is funny too. There's some sense that some of these corporations are sort of not pulling back, but they're muting their LGBTQ.
Well, Target, they didn't have their displays, right center square when you walk in the store. You can get it online. But they're not having the Tuck It swimsuit sale like they did last year.
Somebody
you got one that I gave you, right? You got that.
Yeah.
I sent it to your house. So
this was a good exchange on Twitter. Somebody asked BMW with their whole rainbow, colors and so forth. How come you don't proudly display your logo's pride colors on your Middle East posts? BMW responded to that, actually.
Oh, they did? What did they say?
This is an established practice at the BMW Group, which also takes into account market-specific legal regulations and country-specific cultural aspects.
Oh,
I see. So, number one, we just, do it for the money. It's just market positioning. But it also market-specific legal regulations and country-specific cultural aspects. So it's basically corporate America, global corporations, saying, that's where the culture is in America, so that's where we have to be. And unfortunately, they're not wrong. That is where it is. A little bit of pushback. I like this story out of Idaho. Maybe I'll just profile it in the hope that maybe we'll have some proprietors mimic that. Idaho bar. Old State Saloon in Eagle, Idaho, which is just outside Boise, announced that each Monday of the month of June will be Hetero Male Monday, where heterosexual Heterosexual Awesomeness Month is the name of the month for this Old State Saloon in Eagle, Idaho. 15% discounts to straight men. How would you know? Right?
Yeah.
How would you know? The whole celebration of this too. That you have to sort of publicly defile yourself, and that's being pro LGBTQ. You have to announce yourself to the world as a one-dimensional human being. I am only who I have sex with. It's so odd to me that that's celebrated.
Well, you don't need to celebrate anyone's sexuality. I just.
But they don't even. But it's just all these people don't even understand what they're doing. You're as I said, you're minimizing yourself. You're caricaturing yourself as the only thing that is of interest about me is who I have sex with. You find that self-actualizing? Are you being seen now? Norm Macdonald, the late great Norm Macdonald.
Mm-hmm.
This
is good.
This whole pride business. This was one of the great riffs he did, and this was with Dennis Miller. Yeah, this whole the whole celebration thing, extolling and making sure everybody claps while you extol that you have sex. Yeah, that you're a man who has sex with men, or women has sex with women, or now these days some unidentified human unit that has sex with other unidentified human units.
Because I went to this gay pride parade, and I saw in it there were these old men and old ladies with these signs that said, "We are proud of our gay son," And so I was saying, that's an odd thing to be proud of, because it's not an achievement, It's not like something you work all your life to be gay or anything like that. And I just wondered, I had a hard time believing that these 50, 60-year-old men are actually bragging, at work like they're, "Hey, Bill, my kid, oh my God, we're proud of him, Johnny. He graduated from Harvard, a first in his class, you know what I mean? Now he's articling over at a law firm, and, oh yeah, he loves This kid. He can't get enough in his mouth. This kid's always cooked. I got a picture of the boy here sucking another man's. I want to show it to you.
Not an accomplishment.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE. Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
All right, if credit card debt is stressing you out and keeping you up at night, you need to call Team Hochberg about a fresh start debt consolidation loan. Meet Billy, 68, veteran, scores 658, income from his 2 jobs. VA benefits and Social Security totaled $112,000 a year, living in a $275,000 single-family home in Crystal Lake. Billy accumulated $67,000 on his credit cards and didn't have the funds to pay them off. So he contacted Team Hochberg about their Fresh Start debt consolidation mortgage. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Billy eliminate his credit card debt and save him over $2,100 a month. Wow. Let's review. Cindy helped Billy pay off $67,000 of credit card debt and save more than $25,000 a year. What are you waiting for? Team Hochberg helped Billy and thousands of AM 560 listeners, but they can't help you if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com, 56david.com. That number again, 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Our communities deserve to have their tax dollars spent efficiently. All over Chicagoland, there is an increased need for vital projects like wetland improvements, enhancing water quality, or stormwater mitigation to protect homes against devastating floods. Too often, public officials find themselves at the mercy of outside advisors when planning, budgeting, and building these projects. And let's face it, they rarely meet deadlines or budgets, leaving our communities vulnerable. There's a better way forward. Control Point Engineering. At Control Point Engineering, we're more than just civil engineers. We're champions of quality and efficiency with over 40 years of hands-on experience. Teaming up with Earthworks Land Development, we're breaking down barriers and streamlining processes. Say goodbye to disjointed partnerships and hello to seamless collaboration. From conceptualization to construction, Control Point Engineering delivers everything you need in one unified package, saving you time and money. Visit ControlPointLLC.com today to learn about our successful projects all across Chicagoland. Again, that's ControlPointLLC.com.
All right. Got that grill out? Is your patio ready for the summer barbecues? Well, just remember that hot dogs, brats, burgers, and beer don't provide the fruits and vegetables that your body desperately needs every day to stay healthy and energized. That's why I've been taking Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It's so easy to open up the individual capsules and dust them over my salad or mix them into my juice drinks or warm water. That's how I do it. And thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, your heart, and mind with over 10 servings of 31 different fruits and vegetables. You'll love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. So order today by calling 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first order plus free shipping. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, halfpriceschools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child, too. Just go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
Chronic pain blows. You're miserable, and guess what? The people around you are miserable. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. Don't suffer any longer if you have knee, shoulder, back, or hip pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Folks, I'm talking lasting joint pain relief. There's no surgery, there's no drugs, there's no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. So you can walk, run, hike, play golf, pickleball, and move again pain-free. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in regenerative medicine. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, now open Saturdays. The number is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
We got to talk more about this.
Well, it's just like, at what point do you so dominate the culture and are so celebrated that you can stop credibly saying you're some marginalized population living in the shadows? I mean, I was at dinner last night downtown and over by Evan Grider.
Okay.
Not at Evan Grider, but over. I mean, every dude in the place except me and my friend were.
Everyone's gay.
Was gay.
Everybody's gay.
How do I know? Because it's like it's an affectation the way they behave. It's pronounced.
Well, my gay friends don't like any of this gay pride parade. They like it makes us all look bad.
Of course,
we don't all walk around like, oh my God,
yeah,
flamboyant women wannabes.
Well, and also like if you're, I assume most people, and this is the point I made, but I assume most people want to be considered and estimated based on something in addition to or instead of who they have sex with, but apparently not. At least for the cross section that you see on display in public streets, apparently not.
Have you seen the men walking around with the cat pouches? They're walking their cats on their chest, as if like chest feeding. I'll take a picture when I see it.
Well, Sam Walton is probably rolling in his grave after this Pride Month offering from Walmart.
What a dream come true.
It's not every day that I see my products in a Walmart.
It's important to me to share my art.
No one can make the art that you make. No one can say the things the way you say them. There's a lot of opportunity to uplift with a bit of playfulness and imperfection.
The world needs to hear what you have to say and your story.
The Pride Always collection at Walmart because queer people are magical. What? It's bizarre. All right, coming up at 6:36. J-Bay is back. J-Bay is a fat, both F and PH, influencer. She fights for fat people's rights. She had a run-in, pun intended, at O'Hare, and we got a problem. We're on the wrong side of J-Bay.
Okay.
6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:33, 59 degrees. Partly cloudy skies for the moment. Jury selection expected to begin today in Delaware in the federal firearms case against Hunter Biden. Fox's Jared Halpern, more from the White House.
Jury selection is scheduled this morning at the federal courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware, the start of the first ever criminal trial for the child of a sitting president. Hunter Biden is accused of lying about drug use on a form required to purchase a firearm in 2018. The president's son has admitted to cocaine addiction and described his struggles in a book, writing he's been sober since 2019. The trial is expected to last a couple of weeks. Hunter Biden is also charged with federal tax violations. That trial in California was delayed until September. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Former President Trump says he thinks there will be a breaking point for supporters if he's sentenced to prison time in his hush money case. So a group of Republican senators, writing a letter to the White House, vowed to block the chamber from accomplishing anything following the former president's guilty ruling in New York. One of those Republican lawmakers, Senator Marsha Blackburn.
We have said it's a no-go for any of these departments that have been weaponized, that are being used against conservatives, used against the American people. And the people are waking up to what they're doing with weaponizing the government.
2 police officers were shot and badly hurt this morning in Queens, New York, by a suspect on a motorized scooter. New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
Senseless act of violence, a total disregard for life.
1 person is dead, 2 others hurt after a mass shooting in Ohio, being investigated by Akron Police Chief Brian Harding.
Based on the layout of the spent shell casing, it appears consistent with someone driving by shooting out of a car. We believe that some individuals at the party may have returned fire based on physical evidence at the scene.
And crews are making some progress in restoring water to Atlanta area residents following a massive water main break. A 4-year-old boy is dead, struck by a pickup truck on Chicago's South Side.
He's 4, not 14, not 40, 4. It kind of hurts.
Police say the incident happened yesterday in the 8100 block of South Harper. A man is charged in a shooting rampage in Joliet earlier this year. John Hansen was arrested on charges of murder and attempted murder. Authorities say Hansen was with Romeo Nance when he shot and killed Toyoshi Bakari and wounded another man at an apartment complex back on January 21st. You may recall Nance was also accused of killing 7 relatives found shot to death the day after inside 2 homes. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound later that night while being chased down by U.S. Marshals near San Antonio, Texas. Chicago sports. Reds claimed their series over the Cubs with a 5-2 win from Wrigley Field. Cubs have lost 4 of 5. Team squares off against the White Sox at Wrigley tomorrow. White Sox were swept by the Brew Crew after a 6-3 loss. NBA Finals tips off this week. It'll be the Celtics and Mavericks in Game 1 Thursday, and Scottish sensation Robert McIntyre celebrating his first tour victory. McIntyre finished on top of the leaderboard at 16 under par to win the 2024 RBC Canadian Open. 6:37. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I am 87 years old, and I am an RN. My PhD work is in anatomy and physiology. I watched your advertisement on TV, and I thought I'll try it for just a month to see if it makes any difference. I have stayed on it just think it is a marvelous product.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code Chicago.
Well, summer's just around the corner, but if aches and pains are keeping you from your favorite outdoor activity, I want to tell you about Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it, getting you back outside to enjoy your favorite activities all summer long. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4 Relief.
With Progressive, you get more than savings. You get access to us through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
Oh, I see what you're doing here, Jamie. Giving me all these ways to stay in touch so I have no excuse not to. Well, you're in luck, because this guy's in the market for a new BFF.
Actually, all our customers can contact us this way.
Oh. Yeah, no, I was just kidding.
But I am always up for Taco Pizza! Jigsaw!
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at Navage.com.
640. Let's get an update on the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time in this update. A service of Indeed.com. Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Eden's at 30 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Ryan coming in, 22 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Big jam up 47th up through Roosevelt. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Warm with variable clouds through the morning. Late day thunderstorm could kick off your ride home, high 85. Right now 59. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This is one of those stories that's in Amy's wheelhouse because she is a bigot. She's bigoted against fat people.
It's not.
Yeah. She hates fat people.
No, I don't.
You do?
I don't hate gay people. I don't hate fat people.
Oh, gay people. We're just shoehorning that in for Pride Month?
Yes, I am. It's inside baseball.
Jalen Chaney is an influencer.
Well, we've featured her before here on the show.
She is.
She wants free stuff for fat people.
She's fighting for the right to, I don't know, sit on as many airplane seats as is required to shoehorn you into the tube and fly you somewhere. Anyway.
No, she wants 2 seats. If you're fat and a certain weight, she wants you to have 2 seats. And she was very influential in Southwest Airlines changing their policy because you can go online and get 2 seats for the price of 1.
Well, we brought you we brought her to your attention way back when she started this online petition that got 40,000 signatures or something. It's not a big deal, but the bill of particulars, what she wanted, was a big deal, pun intended, and it sort of got people talking, including us. She wanted, at the time, the FAA should mandate all airlines have a comprehensive customer-of-size policy that prioritizes the comfort and well-being of all passengers. And she did include you, Amy. Polly must have clear and inclusive guidelines on accommodating customers of size, including plus size, individuals with disabilities, tall individuals.
Thank you.
Anyone who needs more space to be comfortable while flying.
Pick me, yes.
Alternative seating, larger seats, other size accessible accommodations, including unlimited seats, so you can get all of your largesse out of the aisle.
Long legs around here. Okay?
Yeah, so additional accessible seats. Airlines should offer a refund for customers of size who purchase additional seats independently. Obviously, that's an entitlement. Clear communication, accommodations, employee training. All new airplanes should have at least one wheelchair accessible bathroom, and it's so on and so on. But more inclusive. But you get the picture. And then she was featured at FatCon 2024. I don't know if
that was in Seattle.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I don't know if you were able to go, but a lot of topics discussed. Well, I mean, she was promoting it.
I'm going to FatCon in Seattle, Washington, January 5th through 7th, and I want to see you there. FatCon is a 3-day fat liberation celebration, y'all. We will be celebrating fat liberation, body acceptance, and the power of being in fat community. With over 60 hours of programming spanning from policy, legislation, healthcare, community, and visual arts, plus a ton more, this is sure to be something you don't want to miss. The vibes are going to be immaculate. With a fat brunch, a fat fashion show, and a fat vendor marketplace, there is so much to do. Plus, there's some really cool experiences you can sign up for, like some fat liberation photo shoots and some incredible shopping experiences with 2 Big Blondes. Being in fat community with other fat people who just accept you for who you are and get it is such a great experience, and I want every single person watching this to be able to have that experience with us. Ticket sales for the FatCon are going to be ending very soon. You can go to the link in my bio and use code JBAE to save 25% on your tickets. I hope to see each and every one of you at the FatCon in Seattle, Washington, January 5th through 7th.
And I think I remember suggesting at the time, so I hope people took my advice. If you want to enjoy the fat brunch, get there early.
Oh! Is it an all-you-can-eat open buffet?
No, I just want so that you have some time to let your food settle before you do the fat liberation photo shoot.
What does that even mean? Fat liberation.
Some of the
photo shoot.
topics, fat, and by the way, fat doesn't it have a negative connotation? Shouldn't we say donut impacted individual?
No.
Fat in the wild, adventures in the outdoors. The trigger warnings, there are mentions of specific size or weight and fat phobia. So just, this was some of the topics they covered. Navigating healthcare while being fat.
Oh, that's right.
Rope bondage 101. I don't know why.
Seriously?
Rope bondage 101.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Self-love chair yoga.
Self-love chair yoga?
I don't want to know what that entails. Anyway, that's J-Bay.
Okay.
Well, J-Bay was coming through O'Hare. I don't know on how many seats.
Hey-o.
And something happened.
Uh-oh.
And, of course, being an influencer, she took to the interweb there to share what happened to her in the interest of, liberating fat people from the perils of revolving doors.
Oh,
recently, I had a distressing experience at Chicago O'Hare Airport. As a plus-size ambulatory wheelchair user, I faced a significant challenge when trying to get to baggage claim. The only option was to go through a revolving door. We pressed the button to slow it down for people with disabilities, but as soon as we entered, we got stuck. I'm claustrophobic and began to panic, frantically motioning to the staff for help. They just stared at me, offering no assistance. A passerby noticed our struggle and tried to help, but the airport staff remained unresponsive. This was my second terrible experience at O'Hare during just one trip. The lack of assistance was not only frustrating but dehumanizing, highlighting the necessity for airport staff to treat
Ambulatory wheelchair user?
Yeah.
Is that fancy talk for I can walk but I'm too lazy? Says somebody on social
Well,
media.
I mean, I think she probably has the condition that our governor, Jelly Belly, has, where if she stands up too long, her legs break.
Yeah, you'll crack your femur.
So anyway, O'Hare
Ooh.
is not inclusive, and I thought people should know because J-Bay is on the warpath, and you won't like J-Bay when she gets angry. Susan, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Yeah, hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. I'm a nurse, and this bariatric-friendly
environment we have to have has cost so much money for hospitals. We have special wheelchairs. They're much bigger now. Our beds have to hold like over 500 pounds. We have special blood pressure cuffs that have to reach around these gigantic arms because the regular size ones pop off. Everything has to be bariatric friendly. We even had to take a little course on being, kind and not using certain terminology like fat or.
I know, but she
Well,
calls.
what do
But
you
she
say,
calls. Well, she
obese?
calls. J-Bay calls herself fat. They have Fat Con. They're calling themselves fat. But as I said, maybe bariatric impacted individual.
Yeah, there you go. And hey, it's job security for me. They got bad knees, bad hearts, hyperlipidemia, gallstones, orthopedic. I mean, you name it, it's money for us. I'm
All right.
sorry.
Okay, all
Job
right.
security, eat those
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely. Well, you got a clientele to serve. Absolutely.
Somebody
Thanks,
texted in
Susan.
plus-size people should be banned from flying. In case of an evacuation, they are a liability for the rest of the passengers.
Well, okay. Banned from flying? No.
I know.
Come on.
I'm not saying it. I'm just repeating.
George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, they're always talking about infrastructure. We need to support infrastructure.
Hi-oh. Thanks, George. Paul
Yes.
and Carrie.
Morning, guys. Just as a point, as a weight proportionate bigot,
Yes.
why do I have to pay with Southwest Airlines upgrade if I want to avoid the dreaded middle seat and perhaps get a window or an aisle? I mean, I cannot stand, and I've paid multiple times to avoid having some fat, sleeveless, hairy arm on me. I cannot stand it. But am I not being exploited by having to pay that?
Well, it's the price of inclusivity, Paul. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I got to say, I don't really like commercial flight travel.
I know. It's not fun.
It's
just, you just don't know what you're getting into every single time you get on the plane.
I kind of see why John Madden just wanted to
Taking
roam around the fruited plains on a big tour bus.
But I got to tell you, I got stuck in that same turnstile when I had Bunky, my service dog.
This is a revolving
I mean, the
door.
revolving door. Right, but you press the button. She must have been at Terminal 3, but maybe they have one at Terminal 1 as well. But you press the door, the button to make it move slower. But she must be really large if she got stuck, because that's a big space. But I got
She-
stuck in there with the leash and,
When she goes around the revolving door, she goes around the revolving door.
I mean,
J-Bay. Yeah, it's well.
So
we're gonna have to. Well, that the whole thing too is then everything becomes you have to retrofit, right? She
Right.
wants all the planes retrofitted,
Yep.
Unlimited seats at somebody else's expense. Well, and that's they're private companies, sort of. They get bailed out by the Fed so
She could
often.
always
They're
pay
but
for first class.
well, that's not going to be enough. 2 first class, not 1.
I've seen somebody in first class, who's a huge 500-pound man, bought 2 first-class seats.
Yeah, well,
And you know what? I respected that.
absolutely.
Like that,
Yeah,
that saves me pain. That
Exactly.
saves you pain. It gives you the space you need and you want.
Right. You said, thank you very much, Governor.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word HEDGE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and there are thousands of rave reviews to prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text HEDGE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, HEDGE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
All right. It's one of the best days of the year, the AM 560 annual golf tournament. This year, once again, we're partnering up with Tunnel to Towers. Our listeners know this organization, the great work they do. By participating in our golf outing, you'll be helping them to care for the families of fallen first responders and our homeless veterans. Business owners who purchase a foursome will receive a marketing schedule on AM 560. It's the best deal and a great way to reach this audience of affluent, influential decision makers. So if you've ever considered advertising on radio, this is a great way to try it out before making a long-term commitment. This event is a networking opportunity as well. We'll have over 200 attendees, business owners, decision makers, Dan Proft, influencers who are like-minded and want to support Tunnel 2 Towers and AM 560. We have availability in the morning, 7:30 a.m. shotgun start. In the afternoon, it's a 1 p.m. shotgun. And we're starting earlier to move things along more quickly. We'll have a buffet lunch for morning golfers with a boxed breakfast and buffet dinner for afternoon golfers.
Maybe we should add that rope bondage 101, like that fat content.
Oh, yeah.
To sweeten the pot a little bit.
Have a breakout session on
I'm
that?
sure Sean could teach that.
Yeah, Sean will be there. He'll be on hole number 8. So reserve your foursome today, 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I am 87 years old, and I am an RN, and my PhD work is in anatomy and physiology. I watched your advertisement on TV, and I thought I'll try it for just a month to see if it makes any difference. I have stayed on it. Just think it is a marvelous product.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dana and Amy, just staying on the lighter side for a minute. I'm auditioning for to replace Ryan Seacrest on that show.
Oh, Wheel of Fortune? Oh, no. You mean Ryan and Kel. Which show?
What's Kelly Ripa?
Kelly Ripa. Well, no, her husband is in.
Oh, I'm auditioning to replace him.
Oh, you are?
No.
Okay.
But maybe I could if I do more of these inane stories.
But isn't Ryan Seacrest? He's taking over Wheel of Fortune for Pat Sajak.
He is?
Yeah. Isn't he?
I don't think so. I think you're making that up.
Yes, he is. I just got a confirmation from our producer.
When is Pat Sajak's leaving?
Yeah, he's retiring. Last episode airs June 7th. That's,
I didn't know.
That's the end of this week. Farragut's finest. He went to Farragut High School. His picture's on the wall.
I didn't know Quinn was a wheel watcher.
Yeah. I don't think he's chimed in about anything.
Now he
has.
Yeah, he didn't. You have to look that up too. It's weird, strange, sad actually. The story I'm talking about comes from relationship columnist and podcaster Dan Savage, who
I remember him.
Is Dickensian named. Yes, much like Michael Schill, the president of Northwestern. Yeah, the Savage guy is.
The Savage Love. Didn't he write an article? I was in the Reader on Thursdays.
Yeah, he's disgusting.
Yeah.
But he did turn me on to something I had not heard before, so I wanted to turn it on to you.
Okay.
Being in a totally amorous relationship. Is anybody in a totally amorous relationship? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Totally amory, not polyamory, where we've talked about that, polyamorous.
Okay.
Where you just have, multiple people with multiple people, and it's all.
Kind of like thruples a little?
Yeah. Well, that would be an example of a polyamorous relationship. I think.
Democratic Congresswoman was in a thruple. California, remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. She had to resign.
Yeah.
That even California couldn't tolerate that sort of bizarreness. But anyway, Polyamorous.
What is polyamorous?
A person is willing to turn a blind eye to a lap dance or a brief affair after years of marriage. They instead focus on the ways their spouse demonstrates their commitment and shows their love to make the cheating tolerable. Polyamorous. I mean, by the way, a lap dance and a brief affair, are those the same thing?
No.
What do you think?
I think I don't want to do this segment.
Why not?
Because it's gross. It's just destroying our culture even more that they're even. I mean, he came up with that term. So your husband's cheating on you or your wife's cheating on you. That's what that is. Like totally amorous.
You're not.
The act of being totally amorous is you're just going to ignore it or pretend it doesn't happen.
You're going
or
to.
I'm going to accept it.
You're going to learn to live with it.
Yeah. No, I'll pass. Thanks.
Okay.
And
I
think most like-minded women here, we're not going to tolerate that.
I'm just trying to stay on the cutting edge of the culture. That's all I'm doing.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll turn to matters of significantly more import, which shouldn't be difficult. Ukraine, Middle East, geopolitics, war, all with Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation, 707.
But first, we're going to stop by that newsroom and check in once again with Mike Scott.
A man shot trying to help a woman being carjacked early this morning in the North Austin neighborhood. 4-year-old boy was struck and killed by a pickup on the south side. Couple of boat fires on Lake Michigan. Marine units responding over the weekend. The Reds pour on early runs to claim their series with the Cubs. White Sox swept out by the Brewers. Bears back at Hallis Hall. WIND, Chicago News Time, 7.
Another historic trial. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Former President Trump last week became the first former president convicted of a crime, and jury selection starts this hour in Delaware for the first ever trial of a current president's child.
Hunter Biden is accused of lying about drug use on a form required to purchase a firearm in 2018. The president's son has admitted to cocaine addiction and described his struggles in a book, writing he's been sober since 2019. The trial is expected to last a couple of weeks. Hunter Biden is also charged with federal tax violations. That trial in California was delayed until September. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
History's made in Mexico. The country's first woman president, Claudia Sheinbaum, is elected in a landslide. She was the mayor of Mexico City and head of the country's Environment and National Resource Department. 11 people are reported killed in Israeli strikes overnight in central Gaza, and another Hamas hostage's body is recovered. The ceasefire proposal President Biden announced Friday is still waiting for approval or rejection.
The UN's Relief and Works Agency is working in several areas affected by the Israel-Hamas conflict, East Jerusalem, as well as the West Bank and Gaza. UNRWA's Senior Deputy Director of Affairs, Scott Anderson, on CBS Face the Nation said he hopes a proposal to stop the fighting can take hold.
We very much welcome a ceasefire. It's time for the hostages to go home to their families. Time for more aid to start coming in, and then hopefully we can start rebuilding Gaza.
But Israel has its issues with the agency passing a bill in its parliament to brand UNRWA as a terrorist group because of claims that past agency members had ties to militant groups. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Dr. Anthony Fauci appears today before the House subcommittee investigating the COVID-19 pandemic, its origins, and the federal response, which Dr. Fauci helped oversee. America's listening to Fox News.
702, 59 degrees. Partly to mostly sunny at the moment, but clouds and storms are on the way. We're watching a couple of developing stories right now. Naperville, 75th Street is closed at Naper Boulevard due to a fire in that area. Bad accident reported this morning as you travel along I-55. It's northbound between Route 126 and the Veterans Parkway. Due to an accident, left lane blocked. 8 cars, all told right now, are involved. And a man was shot trying to help a woman being carjacked in the North Austin neighborhood this morning. The incident occurred around 2 a.m. in the 1500 block of North Linder. Chicago police tell us 4 men attacked a woman, assaulted her, then stole her car. A 20-year-old man who tried to intervene was shot in the chest. A man is charged in a shooting rampage in Joliet from earlier this year. John Hansen was arrested on charges of murder and attempted murder. Hansen was with Romeo Nance when he shot and killed Toyoshi Bakari and wounded another man at an apartment complex on January 21st. Nance, you may recall, was accused of killing 7 relatives and then fled the state. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound later that night while being chased by U.S. Marshals near San Antonio, Texas. No one hurt after 2 boats caught fire on Lake Michigan in Chicago, one near 50th and Lakeshore Drive yesterday morning. The other yesterday, a 60-foot boat named Misfortune had mechanical trouble due to a fire. In the days after former President Donald Trump was convicted in a hush money trial in New York, the U.S. House Speaker visited Peoria. Speaker Mike Johnson telling reporters that the GOP's coffers are filling up post-conviction.
We raise more money. You know why? Because people see lawfare in action. They see that the nominee for the Republican Party is being attacked and that they're using our judicial system to go after a political opponent. That's what the Democrat Party and that's what these rogue prosecutors have done. And I think people are disgusted by it.
He said the verdict is backfiring on Democrats. Chicago sports. Reds over the Cubs 5-2. White Sox swept by the Brewers following a 6-3 loss. It'll be the Cubs and White Sox at Wrigley tomorrow night. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 right here on AM 560, The Answer. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Well, the weather's warming up and summer's just around the corner. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Inbound Edens, 33 Lake Cook Road to the junction. An accident on the Kennedy outbound left lane block between Montrose and Canfield. I-55, an accident blocking a left-hand lane. 8 cars are involved. It's on the northbound side of 55 between Route 126 and Veterans Parkway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Variable cloudiness. It'll be a warm day. A thunderstorm for the late afternoon, high 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm could be a strong one early. Damaging wind, flash flooding, and hail possible, low 69. More clouds than sun. Thunderstorm for tomorrow, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
59 at O'Hare, 62 at Midway, 60 in Joliet, 57 in Wheeling, 60 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I'm going to go back to something we mentioned at the outset of the show because there are implications here for the rest of the year legislatively. These 8 Republican senators, conservatives, who signed a letter after Trump's conviction last week in Manhattan, stating, as a Senate Republican conference, we are willing to aid and abet this White House in its project to tear this country apart. To that end, we will not allow any increases to non-security related funding for this administration or any appropriations bill which funds partisan lawfare. Well, you shouldn't allow any that funds partisan lawfare categorically, not just now or for the rest of the year. We will not vote to confirm this administration's political and judicial appointees and allow expedited consideration and passage of Democrat legislation or authorities that are not directly relevant to the safety of the American people. So basically, national security and nothing else gets through to the extent that those 8 Republican senators, as I said, the conservatives, led by the Mike Lees, J.D. Vance, Marsha Blackburn, Marco Rubio, Rick Scott of the world. For more on this and other domestic and geopolitical matters, Stephen Bucci joins us. He served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, and is a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's always great to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
How do you react to what those senators are attempting to do, and what from a national security perspective are any potential concerns you would have?
Well, as they said, they're going to do the national security stuff.
Right.
That there's always a lot of pearl clutching and swooning when someone threatens this. You remember back when that they were putting a hold on all of the military officer promotions, and everybody said, "Oh my God, the Republic's at risk," and that's just a little bit of hyperbole. That doesn't put everybody at risk. It's kind of massively inconvenient for the system because it does cause things to slow down. The exact transition that someone in the chain of command has decided on doesn't happen exactly that way. But trust me, the military in particular can handle that sort of delay. It happens all the time for all sorts of reasons. In this case, it was just really big and spectacular and got a lot of attention from the press because it was a conservative doing it for conservative reasons, and they just hate that. In this case, from a national security standpoint, I don't think this will have any negative effect whatsoever.
Well,
Those that claim that are kind of full of it.
Well, something that may have an impact, even though essentially there's a carve out in the language that those 8 senators use. But I mean, there is definitely more pronounced opposition to any foreign aid forays after what happened on Thursday. I'll give you an example. One popular Twitter account. I don't want to hear another damn word about Ukraine. I don't want to hear another damn word about Israel. I don't want to hear another damn word about Gaza. I don't want to hear another damn word about Taiwan. I don't want to hear another damn word about any other country except the USA, you America last war pigs. So there's, even more heightened intensity about Trump and domestic issues now after what happened last week in Manhattan.
Yeah, clearly there will be. I mean, the people on the conservative side of things are going to question everything this administration does, and frankly, probably should have been questioning everything this administration does for a long time because it's been so screwy. But I don't think when push comes to shove that even these hardcore conservatives who are trying to lay down a marker against the Biden administration, if something came up and it was really going to put our allies at risk or our own interests at risk, that they would make an exception. You never know, but I think that would probably be covered by the common sense that would kick in. That said, they can put the screws down pretty tightly on a lot of Biden's plans, particularly things like releasing money to Iran, stuff like that. They can really now shine a much brighter beacon on those bad policies because of what's going on. If nothing else, they'll get more allies helping them do that because people are just ticked at what happened last week, and they see it for what it is. That it is, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said it out loud. I don't think she was supposed to, but she said, "Oh no, this warfare or lawfare stuff. This is what's going to keep the ankle bracelet on former President Trump, so he can't go out and campaign." So she admitted that her party is doing exactly that. That this is not about the rule of law and trying to suddenly the Democrats are proponents of making sure that people pay the price for their crimes. Okay, well, how about all the thousands of people they let off in the last couple of years and continue to do it right in the midst of this? Apparently, the only ones that are worthy of prosecution are Republicans, in particular Donald Trump.
The latest effort to arrange a ceasefire in Gaza did not receive particularly well from Israel, unsurprisingly. Where does that stand? And frankly, what's your understanding of how successful the incursion into Rafah has been?
Well, we've yet to see the effect of the operation in Rafah, though we know they did get a couple of bad guys, which is worth it. Look, Israel is going to negotiate if it can help them get the hostages out. They will cooperate. They will work with them. But they have said unequivocally they are not going to stop this overall campaign until Hamas is eliminated from the playing field. And Hamas has said, yeah, but we're not going to stop attacking you no matter what happens. So, we'll be happy to negotiate, but that's not going to stop us from attacking Israel. So, the two main players in this are the two that are saying, yeah, we'll be happy to talk, but we're not really sure it's going to change what we're doing. And the rest of the world are wringing their hands and saying, oh my gosh, we got to do something. Okay, well, Israel's defending itself. Hamas is determined to destroy Israel. It's kind of not a good starting point for negotiations. And, this craziness, now we got South Africa threatening the United States of America, saying, boy, if you don't stop supporting Israel, we're going to take you to court in the International Criminal Court.
Right.
It's like, okay, thank you for your interest in national security, but remember who you are in the world, and it ain't that much.
Well, do you think those 5 American Israeli hostages are still alive?
I think the possibility of that is going down precipitously every day, which is sad to say. I don't mean to remove hope from their families, but we haven't had any releases lately, though we found bodies. I think that may be the point we're at today, where that's going to be the best we get, where we recover their remains and assign blame to Hamas for what happened.
So, yeah, a lot of this, as I think we've talked about before, feels like post 9/11 redux to me, with the arguments about the arguments against Israel's response to the terrorist attack on 10/7 is that they're just it's disproportionate. They're just going to radicalize another generation of Palestinians and Muslims in the region to be committed to, to the death to all Jews and to the elimination of the state of Israel, and it's just going to perpetuate war in that region of the world, and then you see now you see more potential incidents of Muslim radicalization leading to violence in the West. For example, that German police officer that was killed at a rally by an Afghan who living in Germany over the weekend. So what's your response to that? Are we going to end up basically in the same place where we started, just with a lot more people dead on both sides?
That's always a problem with these kind of activities. I would say that's probably got a bunch of truth in the statements you just made. However, I don't see that there's a lot of choice. If the other side was saying, well, if you just give us this, and this, then we won't do these bad things, then you've got some place to at least consider negotiation. But when the Palestinian side's sole demand is the eradication of the state of Israel, I'm sorry, you can't do that. This is the same people who said, well, we just need to talk to Al-Qaeda. They're really, they don't want to destroy us. They want us to do something to meet their demands. And that was totally not what Al-Qaeda was about. That's not what Hamas is about. So when people are refusing to have any sort of negotiation, to have the people who are, clutching their hands and wringing their fingers together and saying, well, we just need to negotiate. We just need to understand their position. We understand their position. They are stating their position with no dispute, with no inability to understand it. It's just that the left is going, well, but their position, we just need to really understand.
Yeah.
It's delusional.
Al-Qaeda.
You've got to do something against them.
Right. I mean, to your point, just so people know, the Al-Qaeda's central leadership issued this statement about 10 days ago in support of the model Hamas protesters on college campuses here, quoting, "As we support the assassination and beheading of Zionist unbelievers, so we also value and appreciate the movement of Western protesters and occupiers from among the students of Western universities, who by their occupying and protests have expressed their rejection of the ongoing genocide in proud Gaza." The statement added that Muslim youth have the, quote, legal and divine obligation, unquote, to undertake jihad by killing Zionists wherever they are found. So that is, as you say, fairly clear, and it doesn't leave a lot of room to forge a middle way, does it?
No, not at all. And the people in the West who are still looking for that middle way are fooling themselves. They're either useful idiots who are helping out Hamas and their ilk, or they're so lost in la-la land that they really believe that nonsense that you can negotiate with these people. I'm sorry. There are some people who, by their decisions, have said, I don't want to negotiate. I just want to kill you. That only leaves you one option, guys, and that's to defend yourself. And I'm sorry if people don't like that, if that sounds harsh, but that's the reality. And when those people hide among their own wives and children, it's a little hard to guarantee that there'll be no collateral casualties. And that's not on the people going after the bad guys. That's on the bad guys. And until we understand that in the West, the bad guys are going to have the upper hand.
In Eastern Europe, the green lighting of Ukraine to use American weapons to strike targets inside Russia. What sort of potential impact does that have, both in terms of expanding the war or aiding and abetting Ukraine's effort to repel the Russians? Does it change anything?
Well, I think it will help Ukraine, put a little more of the pain on the Russians, which will put pressure on Putin, because right now he's had basically a free ride. He keeps thumping on Ukraine, and his people are not feeling anything other than the casualties that he's had within Ukraine. That said, this administration's policies are so odd and disjointed and seemingly, you do one thing in one place and a totally different thing in the other place without any particular explanation. It's confusing. It's confusing for our friends. It's confusing for our enemies. So the Biden administration, I'm afraid, is motivated primarily by keeping itself in power, and it's going to do whatever it thinks the wind is indicating that they should do, instead of having some sort of legitimate plan. And in the Middle East, they're completely feckless. They're leaving Israel out hanging for the most part, and they're sending money to Iran on a regular basis. At the same time, they're potentially stirring up a bigger conflict in Ukraine. I don't think that's a guarantee, and frankly, I think Vladimir Putin, for the most part, is full of baloney and loves to thump his chest. But when he's confronted, like most bullies, he backs down. I'm surprised he's lasted this long in this ridiculous effort that he's making to try and take over Ukraine. But you don't really want to give him any more ability to do that than you need to. So it's kind of a risk, but I really wish the Biden administration had a more consistent view of foreign policy and how they would operate within it.
Senator Roger Wicker, who is the ranking Republican on the Armed Services Committee, he put out a report which finds America's military poorly equipped to deal with potential wars on two continents at once, much less new threats in space and from AI and so forth. Proposed an additional $55 billion for the Pentagon's budget next fiscal year, for a total of nearly $1 trillion as a part of a new, what he called, generational investment. Is that what is called for in terms of our military preparedness? And boy, if we need another $55 billion for the Pentagon, and that becomes a point of controversy, it certainly will have people saying, well, then why aren't we investing in our military as a priority, as opposed to sending $90 billion to Ukraine and to Israel and to Taiwan?
Yeah, that is the issue. I mean, look, the Heritage Foundation, my organization, puts out the index of American military strength every year, and this most recent one that they published said that America was not in a good place. That there's the things that we've been pointing out for several years now have gotten worse and worse, and we had a little bit of improvement under President Trump. Things were trending in the right direction, and then as soon as he left office, boy, all that stopped. And again, we started wasting money on critical race theory and all sorts of initiatives that have zero to do with readiness, and instead let the readiness begin to slide again. So I do believe that the senator's right in that we need to get back to reinvesting in our military. I haven't really done the analysis to say that those numbers are exactly right, but I think we do need to change direction and the priority that we put our military readiness in, where we put that. But right now we'll wait and see. This is going to turn into an interesting debate as more and more Republicans turn to essentially moving away from a national security standpoint and go more to a libertarian, let's just protect the homeland standpoint. And that's not necessarily a good thing for our country or for the world.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces and now a top Pentagon official, now visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen Bucci, thanks as always for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
A lot of times people don't understand what a supplement is. A supplement is in addition to your regular foods. It's really just an incredible formula, and I've been doing nutrients for 43 years. It has a tremendous effect on how I feel, my well-being. I love the way it gives me all my supplements for fruits and vegetables, which I take a lot of anyway. But I find that this gives me that supplement that I was missing before.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Chronic pain blows. You're miserable, and guess what? The people around you are miserable. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. Don't suffer any longer if you have knee, shoulder, back, or hip pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Folks, I'm talking lasting joint pain relief. There's no surgery, there's no drugs, there's no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. So you can walk, run, hike, play golf, pick a ball, and move again pain-free. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in regenerative medicine. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, now open Saturdays. The number is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dealing with next-gen Marxism, Mike Gonzalez, former Bush administration speechwriter and an expert on identity politics, joins us at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike's.
62 degrees in Chicago at 7:32 on AM 560, The Answer. The death toll in flooding across a large part of southern Germany rose to 2 this morning as the body of a missing woman was found there. California firefighters gained significant ground late last night on a wind-driven wildfire that has scorched thousands of acres 60 miles east of San Francisco. Palestinian health officials say Israeli strikes killed 11 overnight into today, including a woman and 3 children. Earlier Monday, Israeli military officials say a body of a man presumed to be a hostage was found near the Gaza border. The start of Hunter Biden's criminal trial is just hours away in Delaware. Fox's John Scott has more.
Jury selection begins in Hunter Biden's federal gun trial. The president's son faces 3 charges brought by the special counsel, David Weiss. He's accused of buying and possessing a firearm while addicted to illegal drugs, which is a violation of federal law. Hunter Biden has pleaded not guilty and claims he is being politically targeted.
Hunter Biden could face up to 25 years in prison. A man shot trying to help a woman being carjacked in the North Austin neighborhood this morning. Chicago police tell us the incident occurred around 2:05 a.m. in the 1500 block of North Linder Avenue. A man is charged in a shooting rampage in Joliet earlier this year. John Hansen was arrested on charges of murder and attempted murder. Authorities say Hansen was with Romeo Nance when he shot and killed Toyosi Bakari and wounded another man at an apartment complex back in January. Nance, you may recall, was also accused of killing 7 relatives in 2 homes in the southwest suburb. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound later while being chased by U.S. Marshals near San Antonio, Texas. The westbound lanes of the Eisenhower Expressway were shut down at the scene of a double fatal accident on Sunday. It happened around 3 a.m. Troopers who responded say one killed was a pedestrian who was outside those vehicles. Reds over the Cubs 5-2. White Sox swept out by the Brew Crew with a 6-3 loss from Milwaukee. The team now gears up for a 2-game set with the rival Cubs at Wrigley tomorrow night. The news, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. For 55 years, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with beautiful windows and doors. Take advantage of their 10% off installation on purchases through June 30th. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Citizens must have faith in their justice system, that people will be treated equally under the law, and that defendants are being prosecuted because of what they've done, rather than who they are. Donald Trump's trial has set a dangerous precedent. The judge allowed the entire case to be prosecuted without ever telling Trump what some of the charges were. His lawyers couldn't defend him against the alleged predicate crime that transformed a misdemeanor, allegedly falsifying business records, into a felony. No one knew what it supposedly was until after the defense was done. This violates any defendant's Sixth Amendment right to know what the charges against him are. The left has taken lawfare to extremes. There may be no going back. History tells us it's much easier to destroy norms than to restore public trust once it has been broken. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word HEDGE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and there are thousands of rave reviews to prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text HEDGE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, HEDGE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at Navage.com.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Outbound Kennedy jammed up between Montrose and Harlem due to a much earlier accident. I-55 still cleaning up from an accident with a left lane blocked. 8 cars involved northbound between Lockport Road and Veterans Parkway. The Dan Ryan at 30 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Accident due Sable Lakeshore Drive, southbound near 53rd. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Warm with variable clouds this morning. Thunderstorms could crop up later today at a high of 85. Partly sunny and 62 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. David Brooks, Obama's favorite Republican. I thought this was an interesting commentary on the Trump verdict last week. This is when he does this dog and pony show with Jonathan Capehart from the New York Times he's also New York Times, on government-run media and taxpayer-financed media every week. But Brooks, the consummate institutional man, the consummate sort of faux centrist, a representative, as we were talking about earlier, of the sort of center or center-right intellect that MAGA world is revolting against, particularly after the conviction. Sean Davis, wants to know from Republican candidates for every office, which Democrats are you going to go after to put in jail? Tit for tat. Mm-hmm. And others, the Larry Hogans of the world, the David Brookses of the world, he goes even further than Larry Hogan did, respect the verdict. David Brooks says, actually, not should you just respect the verdict, but in point of fact, it was the right verdict.
Yeah, I'll go back to Jonathan's phrase, the before times. In the before times, I was working at National Review, the Wall Street Journal editorial page, the Weekly Standard, a lot of conservative places. And there were certain pillars of conservatism. The first is moral character. That character is destiny, and if private virtue falls apart, the public order collapses. And we shouldn't forget the fact this case was about a former president, paying hush money to a porn star. I mean, in what world did we enter that? The second is institutions, and the power of institutions to safeguard society and hold off barbarism. And there was a moment that some of the people who were in the courtroom described when the jury asked the judge to read back some of the technical fineries of the indictment and of how they should think about the law. And apparently it was very dry and technocratic language. And yet the members of the jury looked at the judge with a rapt reverence And I've always found in juries that juries take their responsibilities very seriously. And so this is character in institutions. And Donald Trump is, if nothing else, a transgressor. And if he wins in the fall, the attack on the institutions won't only be to the justice system, it'll be to the Defense Department, it'll be to the Attorney General's office. It will be a comprehensive assault on American institutions. And that's sort of what's at stake. Can those institutions hold? And in my view, yesterday they did.
They
Well,
did.
first of all, I mean, he acted so surprised that the president was with somebody. I mean, Bill Clinton and Paula Jones, they were together, and she famously had a press conference and was holding up the check that he wrote her for $112,000. So please don't get indignant about that.
The attack on the justice system is to come. It hasn't happened yet, according to David Brooks. Huh.
Okay.
That's one perspective. For another, we're pleased to be joined by Mike Gonzalez. He's an expert on critical race theory and identity politics and foreign policy with experience as a journalist and former speechwriter in the W administration. He's the co-author of the recently released Next Gen Marxism, What Is It and How to Combat It. Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan and Amy, and I'm very disappointed to have heard David speak in that manner. That was an outrageous verdict and outrageous, obviously, trial.
Yeah, but I mean, so crawl into the mind of David Brooks, because he represents sort of that effete self-styled centrist who I guess was once upon a time more of a self-styled conservative, but now can't stomach what conservatism is, I suppose, because Trump has poisoned the well. I mean, this is sort of the position that people like Brooks has taken. So that the idea that the institutions held, and that there is sort of he just sort of glosses over all the institutional rot that actually he otherwise has written much about over the past couple of decades.
The thing is, and this is what my co-author Catherine Cornell Gorka and I chronicle in our book, is that the institutions have been infiltrated. A lot of the institutions, not necessarily, I mean, look, there's a lot of problems with the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, et cetera. It's a different kind of problem. The institutions that have been infiltrated by Marxists, by cultural Marxists, are the ones that are in the culture-making realm, the universities, the libraries, the museums, the schools, and that is what we chronicle. What has happened at the DOJ and the FBI and a lot of the alphabet soup institutions that are outside my window here in Washington, D.C., they have been, the DOJ was weaponized. I mean, a guy was sent from the DOJ to the New York prosecutor's office to work there to shepherd this trial, to shepherd these charges. I mean, this was, it's going to be overturned, no question, but the damage has been done in terms of what people think. I haven't looked at polls yet, and we really shouldn't look at polls for weeks because it's going to take a little bit of time to digest. But this is no matter where you stand on Trump, no matter, this was a very sad day. I'd rather obviously talk about my book, but that was a very sad day last week. A very sad day.
In your estimate, what crime was committed?
I don't think any crime was committed. I don't think. I think it was. I think the prosecutor Bragg created this. Said, well, this paperwork was done wrong, and for that, a man was hit with 34 criminal charges, and he was found guilty of 34 crimes that were really created out of thin air.
Yeah. Right, 34 counts of not liking Trump. He was convicted. So we were just talking with Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation about a little bit about this, but we'll get your perspective. These statements that were issued by Al Qaeda and the Iranian supreme leader praising the model Hamas protesters on college campuses across the country. And by the way, I saw that there's an encampment back up at Columbia. They're like locusts. They're just difficult to dispense with. The Iranian supreme leader, a letter dated May 25th. Dear university students of the United States of America, this message is an expression of our empathy and solidarity with you. As the page of history is turning, you are standing on the right side of it. You have now formed a branch of the Resistance Front, And he goes on to say, the support and solidarity of your professors is a significant and consequential development. This can offer some measure of comfort in the face of your government's police brutality. But boy, what an endorsement between Al-Qaeda and the Iranian supreme leader. All of these protesters, particularly at our quote-unquote elite schools, are essentially in liege with those terrorist organizations, terrorist state in the case of Iran.
Yeah, this is a man who does not tell you what his pronouns are, who does not believe in microaggressions, and who would not put up too well with gender theories. To put it mildly, since they execute gay any aspect of LGBTQIA homosexuals in Iran. So no, look, I'm finishing now a paper actually. What I'm trying to demonstrate in this paper is that the support infrastructure for the pro-Hamas. By the way, it's the first time I talk about it. For the pro-Palestinian protests, it's exactly the same as the infrastructure that supported BLM in the riots of 2020. If you break down the infrastructures into activist groups, fiscal sponsors, funders, and radical media that promote and amplify the messages and try to get people to protest in the streets, all components are the same as the ones that supported BLM in 2020. All they care about is dismantling the United States. They're opportunists. So when Gaza comes out, oh yeah, sure, they use that. When George Floyd comes out, oh sure, they'll use that. What they want to do is destabilize the United States, and of course, they have the aid of all our adversaries overseas, not just Iran, but China is very much into this. Cuba, Venezuela, anybody who hates us wants to see this and promotes this.
Well, everybody, not everybody, but there's a lot of conservatives, especially after last week, spoiling for a revolt against this neo-Jacobin ruling class that controls the mediating institutions that you're describing. But what does it look like? What are material steps that can be taken to push the moral and intellectual revolution that's required, or cleanup if you don't like the word revolution?
Look, Katie and I have a chapter on solutions. To put it briefly, our president here at Heritage, Kevin Roberts, says that we need to figure out which institutions we can reform and which institutions are too far gone and we have to abandon. I personally think we have to fight for the universities, the selective universities. This is Harvard and Columbia and Brown do not belong to the woke left. They belong to America. We have to fight for them. We have to reform them. How do we do that? By threatening to withdraw federal money. They rake in. Harvard takes in $500 million in taxpayer money every year. It takes in more money from the taxpayer than it does in tuition, and that is through federal grants, through student loans, through research grants, etc. So what you do is you say, well, as long as you continue to do this, as long as your faculties are 100% left, is not a single conservative among the professors, and so as long as you continue to do this, we're not going to give you any more money, and that gets their attention.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because the Wall Street Journal weekend interview was with Harvey Mansfield. It was basically the last conservative standing before he retired from Harvard after 5 decades, poli-sci professor. And he is not particularly sanguine about the prospects at Harvard or anywhere else. In some of it is direct, and other parts of the interview you can read between the lines. And I don't even know at this point, when you've got a $50 billion endowment, if cutting off federal funds, if that's even material to an institution like Harvard.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Obviously, it's a lot easier with state schools, as the governor of Florida and the governor of Texas have done with DEI. It says you cannot, you cannot practice DEI anymore. You're going to have a DEI staff. You have to. So with state schools, yeah, it's automatic, right? They get taxpayer funding, and the legislatures can do anything. Not anything, but the legislatures can do a lot. With the private schools, it's going to be a lot tougher. But I do think that the threat of cutting off funding, taxpayer funding, would start getting their attention. Look, Harvard has just said it's not going to make statements anymore. Harvard and a lot of the other schools have said, look, we're going to start using again SATs. They stopped using SATs and other standardized tests because they thought that they were going to help social justice by lowering standards. That is obviously insulting, stupid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now they're going back on themselves and they're saying, well, we made a mistake there. We're gonna go back to using. So they're making some small incremental steps, that make me hopeful that maybe we're getting somewhere with the universities. Maybe I'm being too optimistic.
Mike Gonzalez, expert on critical race theory, identity politics, and foreign policy, former journalist and speechwriter for the W administration. His new book, he's the co-author of Next Gen Marxism, What Is It and How to Combat It? Next Gen Marxism is the book. Mike Gonzalez, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Smoke fumes and dust are a nuisance your business can do without, causing health hazards for employees and possible EPA problems for your company. If you need help cleaning up these problems, call a company that has the expertise and capability to help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. I've got over 40 years of personal experience in dealing with smoke fumes and dust emissions, and I can help you eliminate these problems from your plant. Contact Vans for a no-cost evaluation of your system, and we will size equipment, design hoods and ductwork for a complete turnkey solution.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest levels to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your ventilation inspection today. That's 833-VANSIND. You can also visit them online at vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
All right, if you've been in business for a number of years, it's likely your company has grown in every department. You've added to your sales team, increased your client base, and now have multiple locations. But there's one area that could stop your growth right in its tracks if not protected, and that's your network's data. As you've grown, you've likely evolved your basic network over time, putting your company at risk to cyber attacks, ones that can fold up your business in just hours. And it's not just your server that you need to worry about. It's the full infrastructure of your business. Think about your precious customer data, your employees' devices, smartphones, and all of your technology. You know, every day more than 30,000 websites are hacked, and 2/3 of companies globally have experienced at least one type of cyber attack. So don't be a statistic. Defend your business, your customers, your employees, and your future growth with Turnkey's real-time threat hunting protection. Turnkey has a solution to protect your business, so start a conversation today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responders and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 19th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing package, which includes 25 one-minute commercials between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. And we also have twosomes available in addition to foursomes. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Control Point Engineering, Waukegan Roofing, and by Crosscom Public Adjusters.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
A lot of times people don't understand what a supplement is. A supplement is in addition to your regular foods. It's really just an incredible formula, and I've been doing nutrients for 43 years. It has a tremendous effect on how I feel, my well-being. I love the way it gives me all my supplements for fruits and vegetables, which I take a lot of anyway. But I find that this gives me that supplement that I was missing before.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten. Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll do some legal strategy chalk talk with the great Professor Richard Epstein about, of course, Trump's legal travails. We'll do that at 8:08.
And speaking of Trump, some people want that sign in Chicago to come down. Mooning it wasn't enough. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A 4-year-old boy struck and killed by a pickup on the south side. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Hunter Biden in court. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Jury selection's happening this morning at a courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware for the president's son's federal gun trial.
250 people will be narrowed down to 12 jurors who will determine whether Hunter Biden is guilty of 3 federal gun charges. Federal prosecutors say Hunter lied about his drug use on a form to buy a gun in October 2018, a gun that he kept for 11 days. Hunter has opened up publicly multiple times about his addiction to crack, sharing details in his book, Beautiful Things. He had been hoping a plea deal would help him avoid prosecution in this case, but that deal fell apart dramatically last June, leading to this historic day in court a year later.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Hunter Biden's the first child of a sitting president on trial for a crime. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says there is more to a proposed ceasefire deal than President Biden outlined publicly Friday, but that it will be possible to pause the fighting with Hamas in exchange for the release of hostages, with other details to be worked out later. Texas House Democrat Sheila Jackson Lee says she's being treated for pancreatic cancer.
The Congresswoman previously battled breast cancer, having been diagnosed in 2011 before announcing the following year she was cancer-free. Jackson Lee has been representing Texas's 18th congressional district for 30 years and ran an unsuccessful campaign for Houston mayor last year. The progressive 74-year-old lawmaker says, quote, "The road ahead will not be easy, but I stand in faith that God will strengthen me." Ted Lindner, Fox News.
2 police officers are shot in New York City, one in the leg, one hit in the front of his bulletproof vest.
Today we thank God.
Mayor Eric Adams, the officers were trying to stop a suspect going the wrong way on a motorized scooter. He was hit in the ankle by a return fire. Police say he's a 19-year-old migrant from Venezuela who crossed from Mexico into Texas last July. Claudia Sheinbaum is elected president of Mexico. She'll be the country's first woman president. America's listening to Fox News.
62 degrees, partly sunny skies at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man shot trying to help a woman being carjacked in the North Austin neighborhood this morning. Chicago police tell us 4 men attacked a woman around 2 a.m., assaulting her and then stealing her car. A 20-year-old man who tried to intervene was shot in the chest. A 4-year-old boy is dead, struck by a pickup truck on Chicago's South Side.
He's 4, not 14, not 40, 4. It kind of hurts.
The driver was cited for failure to yield in that situation. A man was killed, 2 others injured after a gunman opened fire late Saturday night in Joliet. A 23-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene. A 20-year-old man rushed to a nearby hospital in stable condition. A carnival shut down early in the south suburbs Sunday evening after a large fight broke out. Posen Park Fest 2024 was shut down due to safety concerns. Police made multiple arrests. Summons have been sent to the Illinois State Police and Governor J.B. Pritzker in a case challenging the use of automated license plate reading cameras across the state. By the end of 2022, Illinois State Police say 289 license plate readers were installed in the Chicago area alone. In 2023, 139 ALRPs were installed statewide. Now, according to a state lawsuit filed last week, more are planned for DuPage County, Kane, Kendall, LaSalle, Will counties, along with Lakeshore Drive. Reds over the Cubs, 5-2. White Sox lost to the Brew Crews 6-3. The team gears up for a 2-game set against the rival Cubs at Wrigley tomorrow night. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Meme stock traders are back in action, pushing shares of GameStop up more than 80% in pre-market trading. AMC shares are up more than 30% after Roaring Kitty, the Reddit account associated with trader Keith Gill, revealed a sizable position in stock and options on GameStop. Oil prices are little changed after OPEC decided to extend its production cuts. Toyota is suspending shipments and sales of 3 models produced in Japan. The company says there are no performance issues, but they were tested using methods that differed from the Japanese government's standards. The models involved are the Corolla Fielder, Corolla Axio, and Yaris Cross. Toyota says there's no need to stop using the affected cars. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost.
Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Well, the weather's warming up and summer's just around the corner. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of Windy City Safes. Windy City Safes is Chicagoland's only Liberty Safe dealer. With Liberty Safes, you're not just getting a safe, you're getting peace of mind. Visit the Niles showroom. Call 224-LOCKBOX or online at WindyCitySafes.com. Kennedy inbound at a solid 83 from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound Kennedy, due to an earlier accident, you have delays near Harlem Avenue. I-55 still dealing with a big accident northbound between Lockport Road and the Veterans Parkway. Traveling on the Dan Ryan inbound, stop and go 95th all the way to the Skyway, 34 into the Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Variable cloudiness. It'll be a warm day. A thunderstorm for the late afternoon, high 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm could be a strong one early. Damaging wind, flash flooding, and hail possible, low 69. More clouds than sun. Thunderstorm for tomorrow, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly sunny and 62. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Maybe the Trump campaign team should enlist Riverside County, California Sheriff Chad Bianco with the task of helping message in the wake of last week's conviction in Manhattan. Riverside County, California Sheriff Chad Bianco took to social media to make his case.
For the last 5 years, I've been very critical about our governor for slashing our budgets from corrections, for letting prisoners out early, for closing our prisons. I've been critical of our state legislature for passing laws to make it harder to put people in prison. I've been critical for their changing laws that let prisoners out early. And I've been critical for our Attorney General for seemingly not caring about crime and really being an embarrassment to law enforcement. And this love affair that our governor and our state legislature have with criminals is based on the belief that criminals are not responsible for their own actions. They're a victim of society. And really, it's our fault. It's society's fault. It's business's fault. It's cops' fault. It might be my fault. Law enforcement, apparently, if you listen to our governor, is systemically racist. If you listen to our legislature, our laws are systemically racist. Our judicial system is systemically racist. All of these people that are being put in jail are because of law enforcement bias and DA bias and all of these things. And so they let them out. They give them food. They give them housing. They give them money. They give them drugs and alcohol now. And I got to be honest, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. And I'm wondering if I'm having a change of heart and deciding that, you know what, maybe I've been wrong. And I think I'm going to change teams. I know it's going to make some of you angry. I know that you're going to be mad at me, but I'm going to change teams. I think they're onto something, but I don't think they're doing enough. I think that we need to go big. You know me, go big or go home. You're the biggest, you do the best, you're the best at everything, and you might as well do something right if you're going to do it. And I'm all in. And I hope that you're all with me. I hope that you all have this change of heart. You all feel that this is definitely the right thing to do, and you come alongside me in this venture. And I think it's time that instead of letting them out of jail and giving them alcohol and drugs and everything else, I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Trump 2024, baby.
Oh.
What's could be more
Wow.
pro-criminal than putting a convicted felon in the White House? Fun little piece of rhetorical jujitsu by that county sheriff in California. But what are the prospects that that will ultimately be the choice, whether or not to put a convicted felon in the White House? For more on that, we're pleased to be joined by Professor Richard Epstein, the James Parker Hall Distinguished Service Professor, Emeritus of Law, Senior Lecturer at the University of Chicago. Professor Epstein, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, it's always nice to be with you and to listen to introductions like that one.
Well, so, you know, we have been kicking this around, and obviously want to get your expert perspective. The prospect that the Trump legal team can appeal the conviction in Manhattan directly to the Supreme Court under the Supreme Court's common writ power to adjudicate matters where there are gross violations of a criminal defendant's due process rights. What are the prospects that the Supreme Court would take something like that up?
I think the answer is probably no. Now, this court actually has the exact opposite situation. I think many of the conservative justices and now even many of the liberal justices are aware of the fact that certain prosecutors in certain unnamed counties take liberties with the law. But there's always the tendency on the part of the Supreme Court to say, we want to shake this thing out and see how it plays in lower courts and what they do. I think the answer, therefore, might depend on the following. If the worthy judge would decide, I think he has to go into jail right now, and we'll see if he'll run the campaign out of the jail, I think you could get to the Supreme Court or at least get some other very powerful action. But if they say, oh, you could go out, but you just have to report like any other convicted criminal on appeal and have to check in with your parole officer and so forth, my guess is the Supreme Court would allow this thing to run its course. What I think is more important is what the public reaction is. And I mean, I must confess that it's my reaction as well. Everybody who's going to vote for Trump who wasn't for him before is going to do it under the guise of a metaphor. I will vote for the nominee of the Republican Party no matter who it is. Well, that's because many people have a real uneasiness about some of his past antics. But for the most part, if you start looking at his behavior during the trial, he should shut up and stop attacking the judges. I agree. But the level of abuse that he's been put through by this system is really nothing quite short of extraordinary. I mean, if you were to read the New York papers in celebration of the verdict, you would simply assume that this is 12 diligent juries being coached and understood by a neutral, impartial prosecutor. And what they've done is they've applied only the law in order to make sure that serious harms will not be done. And when you look at all the street crime in New York, you realize that they're much, much less important to the health and safety of people in New York City than dealing with a hush money payment, which may or may not have had anything to do with the 2016 election. So it's a kind of a farce. I mean, there are two doctrines always at stake here. There's nobody should be above the law, and that also includes prosecutors, but there's no way in which you could constrain them. But there's also a very, very powerful norm that used to exist in when you have scarce resources in a prosecutorial office, what you do is you spend them to deal with the most serious crimes in the most expeditious fashion. And if one thinks that the major danger to public safety in the United States was a series of actions that took place 8 years ago that would be barred by the statute of limitations, then you have your priorities completely whacked up. So you say, well, maybe the man is simply delusional. But he ran on the campaign that he was going to destroy Trump, and he knew that he had the venue in which to do it. And so he got the right judge, and then they put the jurors on. We have no idea exactly what it was that they did inside the room, but if you're pretty confident that every one of them is a strong Democrat and every one of them reads the New York Times on a regular basis, what is you know that they're going in there with a hopeless bias in one direction. The only way to counter that is to be very precise with the instructions that you give before you do the trial. And what the judge did was simply a derelict behavior. He said, well, you decide which felony they convict.
Right.
Well, how do we know which felony is convicted? All they did was to check a box which said he was guilty. They never identified what the felony was that he had committed, which meant that the statute of limitations could be waived. And so now when you have to go on appeal, you don't even know what you're supposed to attack. Everybody said at the beginning of the trial, oh, this is a hide-the-ball game that he'll clearly end by the time you get through the trial. He'll tell you what he wants. But the whole game is now hide the ball. And that itself is ground for reversible error.
Well, but so that's the question, though. I mean, because this was such, in my view, such a show trial. Actually, let me borrow the words from Elie Honig, who is a former federal prosecutor in New York. He's now a CNN legal analyst as well.
And he worked with Bragg.
He just torched the judge donated money, a tiny amount of $35, but in plain violation of a rule prohibiting New York judges from making political donations of any kind to a pro-Biden, anti-Trump political operation. The charges against Trump are obscure and nearly entirely unprecedented. In fact, no state prosecutors ever charged federal election laws as a direct or predicate state crime against anyone for anything. None, ever. Even putting aside the specifics of election law, the Manhattan DA itself almost never brings any case in which falsification of business records is the only charge. The charges against Trump are not just unusual, they're bespoke, seemingly crafted individually for the former president and nobody else. I need to call this out. And he just goes on, I need to call this out. But I mean, but that's what I'm talking about with respect to the Supreme Court. I understand that prosecutors take liberties and so on and so forth, but this is so far afield. And obviously it has outsized importance because you're talking about the next president of the United States, that you don't think that some Supreme Court justices would be tempted to send a message about this before we get into a situation in this country where it will be lawfare, both sides using the power they have wherever they have it to put their political opponents in prison?
Well, I mean, I think you should be the guest on your own show. But let me just
okay, well, I'm just
he has
in a slightly different fashion. I mean, the problem that faces is, do you let a judicial process run its course so that when you get to make your decision, you have the full information? And as I said to you at the beginning, if he's out and able to campaign, the harm from this particular form of judicial malfeasance seems to be cutting against him. I don't know of anybody outside of New York City who thinks that this was a fair procedure. I spoke with one of my friend's commentators who said when he interviewed black voters in Pennsylvania, particularly amongst the men, they said, we know where Trump is. That's the way people used to treat us. And we don't want anybody to be abusive of that kind of prosecution. And so I think you're going to see a pretty sharp move in that direction. And the issue in Trump is now if you're on the Supreme Court, he's out of jail, he's campaigning, Biden is back on his heels. And you really want to bring this back into the judicial arena, or when by the time you get an election outcome, this would be muted. Now, let me make something clear to you. The federal power in this situation is supreme, and the president has to take care that the law be faithfully executed. Can he do that from a state court prison? And the answer is no. And so what happens is the federal court rules will dominate the state court, and the correct response will be after he's president, if you want to go back and try this thing again, you could do so under state law. And so the right rule with any state action, this goes back to Clinton against Jones back in 1997, you suspend everything while somebody's president, or in my view, during a presidential campaign. You preserve the record as is, and then you take up the question after the man is out of office so the two things don't get themselves intertwined. I hope that's what's going on in this case, and I hope that the Trump people can make that argument. But I don't know what to tell them to do. I'm not a full-time professional criminal lawyer, but every criminal lawyer I've spoken to has said the same thing that you just quoted on the radio, and I'm sure that they're correct. But as a kind of a social institutionalist, you know that all these guys are right because the Bragg people will say, hey, this is the most important decision in the face of the earth, and it is. And therefore, it's the last decision you want to confine to 12 very pious jurists handpicked by the Attorney General or the state prosecutor in this particular case. So it's completely bizarre.
They didn't.
I think Trump.
I'm sorry, but the jurors, they didn't have to agree unanimously on anything. It could be 4, 4, and 4, so we don't know. I mean, have you ever seen a crazier 55-page jury instruction pamphlet?
No, it's all crazy. But look, it doesn't even have to be 4, 4, and 4. It could be 0, 0, 0. All they have to do is to say that he committed a felony. Normally, if you're trying to figure out when you have a two-stage offense, Did he do the petty thing, and was there the overriding felony? What you do is to make it possible for you to run the appeal, is to ask them to state what felony it is and to put it on the record. And so at that point, you'd be able to see. In this particular case, my guess is if you did this, what there would be magnificent concurrence by all the jurors who understood, and I think this is probably the case, that a fractionated verdict would get them into trouble. Which would they pick? And the point is, each and every one of these so-called felony counts are, as I say, in absolutely unprecedented territory. Nobody's ever been anything like this. Here you have something which is alleged to be a hush money payment. He flatly denies that he slept with her. She insists upon it. I don't know who's right, but if the rule is that you have to prove your particular case by beyond a reasonable doubt, think of it in this way. He says, she says. This is not a civil case where it's the preponderance of evidence. Have they proved enough to show that beyond a doubt that this happened? If they can't prove that, then they can't possibly prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he paid stuff off for things that may not have happened. And so the usual way in which you do that is to say, look, give me some extrinsic evidence of what has happened here so that it's no longer my word against your word. But there's no extrinsic evidence whatsoever other than her particular testimony. And so that seems to me that you fail the beyond a reasonable doubt test. And if you fail that particular test, it seems to me that the rest of the case simply goes away. Well, then there's another thing here. I don't know if your other experts have pointed out. There are 34 counts, but it was essentially one hush money payment. What the prosecutor did is he split up a single cause of action based on the entire transaction, and he'd get every single check that was mailed as a separate offense. And all these separate offenses carry multiple-year penalties. And so for something which is normally handled outside of the criminal prosecution system, you see Trump facing 34 charges, each of which could carry, say, a year or two, and you can put him in jail for 35 years. That's the kind of stuff that you get to serial killers. This has to be regarded as a complete corruption of the overall process by the prosecutor. Nobody knows what to make about the jurors, but in my view, they went along with this stuff, and given where they are, I think they simply should have done the other thing. Let me put it this way. There were famous cases called the Scottsboro cases where there were false convictions of 7 or 8, I think it was, black young men in 1930. And they were all convicted by the jury. Nobody came up and said, hey, there was a jury deliberation on this particular case. We know it was in Alabama in 1930, but the conviction has to stand. No, the Supreme Court basically tossed it out. Their lives were still ruined after all that had gone on. But it sort of indicates to you that juries are a very funny situation. Sometimes they nullify really wretched prosecutions, and you want to thank them. Other times they amplify very unjust changes, and what you want to do under those circumstances is to condemn them. Here you don't know exactly what went on, but I would basically say where there's smoke, there's fire. And I would strike this thing down, because I don't think what you want to do under these circumstances is to interrogate individual jurors as to what it was they said and they thought. That's just too intrusive. But when you see the kind of smoke surrounding this case, then I think you have to remove it. Let me mention one other thing. At the beginning of the case, the Trump lawyers moved to change venue on the ground that this was basically a corrupt place in which to run these trials. There was too much anti-Trump sentiment there. And Judge Marshall, well, he denied that along with everything else. And so what happens, the whole case now becomes tainted. Because if you think this was done in Staten Island, you would get the same kind of verdict? I rather doubt it. And so all these preliminary motions, I think, since they couldn't be evaluated early on in the process, they weigh very heavily. And I hope the appellate court will do something. Right now, it's all in hiatus. We have to wait till July 11th. Then I'll come back again and we can talk again as to what he does by way of sentencing. And my guess is that he will probably be on the high side. But let me put it to you this way. Suppose Dan and Amy, what happens is Marston says, I really think this was a terrible thing, but it is a presidential election. I am fining him $10,000, and there will be no jail time. Case goes away, right?
Well,
what are you saying? Will that happen?
Well, I mean, there's two things. One is I don't think that he is going to give him that sort of pass. He may sentence him and he'll allow him to stay serving his sentence pending appeal so that he can campaign from now until November, so he doesn't get into that. But he'd still be facing the prospect of jail time after after his appeal is exhausted, or maybe just after the election. That's number one. Number two is, if I'm Trump, well, I'm going to the mat on this anyway, because I mean, I'm an unjustly convicted felon, and I want to be remembered as somebody who was treated badly, who was the victim of a show trial. I'm not just going to walk away because he imposes a modest fine rather than prison time.
No, but Dan, we're asking different questions. The question you have to ask is, if he gets a large fine and continues to campaign, you're going to get the Supreme Court to intervene on an expedited basis.
Right.
I think the answer to that question is no. The harder question is, since it's a state trial, can you get yourself somewhere into federal court? Generally speaking, it's hard to go to a lower court to ask them to undo it here. So the Supreme Court would have to hear the case. And in my view, the due process objections which govern the state under the federal Constitution are pretty powerful. And if I were the Supreme Court and asked to deal with it, I would vacate the prosecution. What I don't think you could do as a Supreme Court justice is say you're not allowed to refile under better circumstances. But I think by that time, the times will have changed.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But look, I mean,
well, that's what, and it might be why Trump is all but baiting Merchant to put him in prison.
Well, I don't think Merchant's going to rise to the bait. If you look at what the polls are about, my guess is this will swing 3 or 4% of the vote in favor of Trump. Let me put it another way. There are people who are strongly supportive of the situation. They were vehemently anti-Trump to begin with, and now they're more vehemently anti-Trump. Their votes don't change. Their contributions don't change. But if you look at the people in the middle, including particularly black male voters and Hispanic voters and so forth, they're up for grabs. And if they decide they're pro-Trump, that's a complete shift.
Yeah.
So what the Democrats are running the risk of is basically reinforcing their shrinking base. What the Republicans hope to gain is a basically dominant position over moderate Republicans on the one hand, various minority groups, and independents in the center. And if they can get the large share of that, Trump will win this thing in a landslide. That is, he'll get 54, 55% of the vote. The Democrats, I think, have got to understand that this is all backfiring at that level. And if they do, I think the pressure on them is going to be to back off. But as I say, we're in such uncharted territory that we have no idea what's going one way or another. Look, some of this may depend upon what happens to Hunter Biden in this trial.
Yeah,
that's
right.
starting today.
Right.
I don't know how. So all I would say is I think if you were the Senate, the Supreme Court should get in right now. Nobody's going to do that. I don't think anybody ought to do that at this point. But what I do think is going to happen is your sheriff that you have from Riverside County is basically going to express the opinion of many other people. There are even people who are starting to talk about, my God, could Trump actually carry New York? I think the answer is probably no. But I think if the gap varies from, say, 17 or 18 points down to 4 or 5, that tells you that everywhere else in the world, which was toss-up, including Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, and so forth, Georgia, Wisconsin, those states will all be solidly red. And I think that's what the Democrats have to fear. So my view about this is there may be a silver lining around this miserable cloud that we start to see about this. But I think really what has to happen is the Democrats, by talking to each other, have become completely tone deaf. And they have to listen to the larger public if they're going to have a chance to win this particular debate.
He is Professor Richard Epstein, James Parker Hall, Distinguished Service Professor Emeritus of Law and Senior Lecturer at the University of Chicago. Professor Epstein, thank you as always.
My pleasure to be with you guys, and goodbye to you too, Amy.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Fauci lied, and some people died, and other people lost their minds at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:31 on AM 560, The Answer. Jury selection is expected to start today in Delaware in the federal firearms case against Hunter Biden.
Jury selection is scheduled this morning at the federal courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware, the start of the first ever criminal trial for the child of a sitting president. Hunter Biden is accused of lying about drug use on a form required to purchase a firearm in 2018. The president's son has admitted to cocaine addiction and described his struggles in a book, writing he's been sober since 2019. The trial is expected to last a couple of weeks. Hunter Biden is also charged with federal tax violations. That trial in California was delayed until September. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
It marks the first time in U.S. history the child of a sitting president has gone on trial. 2 police officers were shot and injured this early morning in Queens, New York. New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
Senseless act of violence, a total disregard for life.
The suspect was also shot and taken to a nearby hospital. 1 person is dead, at least 2 dozen injured after a shooting in Ohio. Akron Police Chief Brian Harding.
Based on the layout of the spent shell casing, it appears consistent with someone driving by shooting out of a car. We believe that some individuals at the party may have returned fire based on physical evidence at the scene.
Crews are making progress in restoring water to Atlanta area residents following a massive water main break. A 4-year-old boy is dead, struck by a pickup truck on Chicago's South Side.
He's 4, not 14, not 40. 4. It kind of hurts.
Police say the incident happened yesterday in the 8100 block of South Harper Avenue. The driver cited for failure to yield. A carnival was shut down early in the south suburbs Sunday evening after a large fight broke out. Posen Park Fest 2024 was shut down due to safety concerns from altercations. Police say they made multiple arrests in that case. And up to 1,000 motorcyclists hit the Chicago streets on Sunday morning, honoring fallen police officers and raising money for the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation in the annual Ride to Remember.
They were like the first on the scene pretty much, after our spouses were killed. They help us financially to get through those first few days, which are so difficult.
Ride to Remember was started in 2005 by a group of Chicago Police Department officers in response to a challenge from then CPD Superintendent Phil Klein. Reds over the Cubs 5-2. White Sox swept by the Brewers following a 6-3 loss. Cubs and White Sox at Wrigley tomorrow night. And that super regional drought will live on despite winning the Big Ten's regular season crown. Illinois failed to generate much of any offense over 6 postseason games, ending its season in the NCAA tournament with a blowout loss to Indiana State Sunday afternoon. The news is a service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Call Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified dealer. Visit Valdecas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees some funny business.
What is alleged is a transgression of federal election campaign financing law, which is strange from the get-go because this is not a federal court. This is a New York court.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Gold demand is hitting record highs, but supply may not keep up. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your retirement savings from a chaotic world. To learn how to diversify your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals, text the word SHELTER to 989898 for a free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group. That's SHELTER to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Nature is quite the artist, wouldn't you agree? The pigments that nature uses to paint its fruits and vegetables aren't there just for visual appeal. Those colorings are also essential to our nutrition. Hi, my name is Vincent Clemens, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I found that the vast majority of my clients rarely got enough servings of fruits and vegetables. Balance of Nature dietary supplements can provide more of the concentrated fruit and vegetable ingredients and these pigments. Please remember that consuming a balanced diet should be your first priority in improving your health. Nonetheless, if you're considering a nutritional supplement, then I highly recommend Balance of Nature.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
When the storms hit Chicagoland this spring and your home or business has water damage, ProTech Restoration is ready 24/7. The certified team at ProTech Restoration will be there quickly and work directly with your insurance. But even in between the storms, if you come across water in your basement, bathroom, or kitchen due to leaking pipes, an appliance breakdown, or sump pump failure, know that ProTech Restoration has seen it all and knows what to do. They are a leading Chicagoland emergency water damage cleanup, repair, and restoration company, offering 24-hour rapid response. They'll clean up, extract, repair, even do a total build back. Search online for ProTech Restoration in Elk Grove Village and check out their Google reviews. To get your free on-site evaluation and estimate, visit protechwaterdamage.com. That's ProTech waterdamage.com. Servicing the entire Chicagoland. ProTech Restoration. Experience, transparency, trust. ProTechWaterDamage.com.
(8:38). Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Macy's. Find the perfect Father's Day gift with the Macy's Gift Finder. Just a couple of clicks. You'll get personalized gift ideas for every dad and every budget. Visit Macys.com/gift finder and give love today at Macy's. Tri-State accident, 2 right lanes blocked northbound between I-57, the accident site right past Cicero. I-80 accident involving a semi, right shoulder. You're backed up to Hobart Road. The accident is eastbound I-80 at Larkin. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Warm with variable clouds this morning. Thunderstorm could crop up late this afternoon. High 85. Currently, mostly sunny and 66. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Big day on the Hill today because Tony Fauci makes his first public appearance, at least to testify, before a House committee since his retirement. And there's lots of questions for Tony Fauci because we have some of the receipts, as the kids say, from the transcript of his behind closed door testimony. We've talked about some of this that was released initially, and then more has subsequently been released last week on the idiot circles and the social distancing.
Oh, you mean the ones that are still on the ground?
You know, I don't.
I try to take them up every time I see them.
You know, I don't recall. It just sort of appeared. I don't recall like a discussion of whether it should be 5 or 6 feet or whatever. Did you see any studies that supported 6 feet? I was not aware of studies that, in fact, that would be a very difficult study to do. It's funny because I remember us having the discussion about how difficult a study that would be to do with epidemiologists and infectious disease experts, that it's impossible, virtually impossible, and there's no evidentiary support for this idea that standing 6 feet apart from people from each other is going to reduce the spread.
Yeah, there's nothing anywhere to prove that. But I thought they were all about the science and the data, and they based everything on that, so that was another lie fed to the American people.
Fauci testified that the 6 feet apart was, quote, an empiric decision that wasn't based on data or even data that could be accomplished. Right. And if you said that at the time, then you were killing grandma and grandpa. Do you recall reviewing any studies or data supporting masking for children?
Oh, boy.
You know, I might have, but I don't recall specifically that I did. I might have.
Oh, my God.
So that was not a basis. There was no scientific basis for that either. also has this. I mean, so that's just two of the issues. The origins, that's going to be a topic of discussion too. Also, his relationship with Peter Daszak and his top deputy David Morens, because we know from Morens' testimony, Daszak was EcoHealth Alliance, right? Big beneficiary of NIH grant money that Fauci had operational control over. David Morens, in emails that have been made public, Morens, in one email exchange with Daszak, there's no worry about FOIAs. I can either send stuff to Tony on his private email or hand it to him at work or at his house. He is too smart to let colleagues send him stuff that could cause trouble. So, end running FOIA. And what stuff could cause trouble? Stuff they didn't want to get out into the public arena, improper conduct, combination of the two. We don't know. We don't know yet. Although Daszak is now, and EcoHealth Alliance now facing debarment from federal grant funds for life. Dr. Brad Wenstrup, who chairs the subcommittee on COVID, under Dr. Fauci, we see Dr. Daszak from EcoHealth Alliance and Dr. David Morens, Fauci's top deputy, and their willingness to deceive. And, they seem to be without scruples. We also know that Morens tried to push his testimony off until after Fauci testified, but he was unable to do that, trying to make sure they get their story straight, don't conflict one another. Yeah, this is like Jim Comey and Andy McCabe redux.
Right. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. I mean, I can't wait to find out what else Fauci is hiding and get to the bottom of what really happened.
Well, and maybe, depending on the outcomes in November, maybe he is not beyond being clawed back and hit with a perjury charge, for example, just on the exchanges he had with Rand Paul on gain-of-function research, given what testimony we've heard from Daszak about Daszak and Ralph Barrick on gain-of-function research. So we'll see. I know it's unsatisfying, but we're going to keep this front and center, and House Republicans are doing, I think, a fairly decent job of keeping it front and center, even as people want to move on. I understand, but we have to make sure the record reflects the deceit that was afoot among all of the public health officials who were celebrated and venerated and enriched. You can't just let this walk away. You can't just let these people walk away. You can't just say, it's over, I'm glad it's over, let's put it behind us. We cannot do it. We got to remind people again and again and again what they did and what they said and what the results were. So, for example, speaking of reminding people,
all right,
what they said about the unvaccinated. This montage, it's great. This guy that put it together, I think it's got 70 million views. It needs to have 170 million. Mm-hmm. Right in a row, all of your favorites, all of your favorite COVIDians. Mika from MSNBC, Don Lemon, CNN at the time, of course. Kay Ivey, the Republican governor of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Capehart, New York Times, and PBS. Dr. Leanna Wan, former head of Planned Parenthood. Former Senator Claire McCaskill, another regular on MSNBC. Aaron Burnett. Michael Steele, the former RNC chairman. The big guy. Colbert. Arnold. Whoopi. Howard Stern. Joy Reid. Listen to him.
When the chips are down, these
first, I got to restart. Because I love, this was a great touch. The line from Dark Knight from Heath Ledger as the Joker, which is a great line, and it speaks to why this is so important. And why it's so important to combat identity politics too, because what you hear, if you remember the line that I just telegraphed with the opening of the montage, That's exactly what's happening.
When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other.
You are the unvaccinated. You are the problem. It is the unvaccinated who are the problem, period, end of story.
The only people that you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, are the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson. It's the unvaccinated who are the threat.
All of us vaccinated folks are going to start wearing masks to protect the unvaccinated folks. It's called a Christian value.
You're basically punishing the vaccinated for the sins of the unvaccinated.
People are not behaving honorably.
Leanna
the
Wen.
unvaccinated are basically saying, well, it's open season for me. I can do whatever I want as well.
The unvaccinated are basically beating their breasts and running around the country saying, we don't care, we're living free, and so forth.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
The unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off.
The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
This is not about freedom
Arnold.
or personal choice.
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
The other day, Howard Stern weighed in with a much different approach. Take a look.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? Their freedom.
But you're treading on our freedom and you're making other people sick, and really you're killing other people.
The anti-vaxxers, they seem to have a thing for death and home remedies.
The anti-maskers.
She was a brunette.
Joy Reid.
When she was brown hair.
Remember, screw your freedom. Stern. Arnold.
Screw your choices. You don't have a choice.
Jim, Southside.
And Amy, listen, you guys have to watch the Dave Smith, Chris Cuomo debate, all about COVID-19. This Dave Smith, who I had no idea who he was, just crushes Cuomo. And they do a montage, kind of like you guys just did, and it infuriates you to no end what they did and how they did it. And the one point that Dave Smith talks about, he says that at no time, and we probably all always known this, but at no time did the government have any right to close down or shut down anything. But they did it anyway, and that's a totalitarian government. And Cuomo's like, no, it's not. He's like, yeah, it is. And they looked up the freaking definition, and they say it word for word. And basically Smith is saying how it's all about the political elite. They crush Fauci, and they all think there should be like a 9/11 commission on it, especially Cuomo. Smith's like, why? The 9/11 commission was crap too, so why would we even do that? And the final thing was, Smith also says that it can happen again if people don't wake up, and these political elites and Fauci gets crushed. They say Rand Paul. They lie about gain of function, where they just change the name of it so frickin' Fauci can get him up in front of Congress and lie to everyone's face and say, listen, we changed the definition of it. Anyway, I'm glad you guys keep bringing it up, because there's one thing we can't forget about COVID, because that was the worst time, worst 2 years, and probably in the last 50, and everyone wants to just forget about it. You can't forget about it. Thanks for taking my call. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, and for the 9/11 report, Truth Commission kind of stuff. I'd rather do it piecemeal like they're doing it. No, nobody has the bandwidth for it. Nobody's going to read, some after-action report that's 6 months in the making with all these. Just hold people accountable one at a time. The headline: DASAC EcoHealth Alliance barred from future federal funding, or the pursuit of that going. Fauci indicted for perjury. That's a headline I want to see. Morenz held accountable for apparently trying to end run FOIA requirements as part of his job. So the same thing. let's zero in on the principles and let's hold people accountable to the extent possible, one at a time and one after the other. That's the way to do it, to keep people's attention, and also to encourage people's attention and to move the flag forward, right? Rather than trying to do everything at once, big, 1,000-page report. Forget that. One at a time. Knock them out one at a time. Like, hopefully that is further today with Fauci as the target, because he deserves to be. But you're absolutely right that you have to go after what these people did, because they're doing the, Fauci, I'm just the medical guy. I just make recommendations. And the politicians, well, I'm not a medical guy. I just took recommendations, right? That just cannot fly. Lee and Hammond.
Hey, guys. There was a time maybe 8 years ago or so when these revelations about Fauci's testimony, if let's say they'd come out, something like that, I would think to myself, okay, great. Somebody's finally in Washington is going to go ahead and grab these people by the collar and take them to task and make them accountable. But ever since Comey let Hillary off the hook, it's been a downward slide. And at this point, I don't expect anything to happen. I think what's going to happen, they're going to cover up, they're going to obfuscate, they're going to take care of their own, they're going to bury this thing because they don't give a rip about the American public, their safety, what happens to them, or nothing. They're there to take care of their own little group of people, and they could care less about the rest of us.
Well, thanks for the call. I think it's fine to have low expectations. I think it's probably better. And, I mean, I think you generally what he described as the attitude of the Beltway is right. But you do have people like this select committee that Dr. Brad Renstrup, who's also a rep from Ohio, is chairing, doing some real work, whistling Fauci back. I mean, they could just walk away from it altogether and just say, let's just move on. So at least they're not doing that. Rand Paul's not letting go of it. Ron Johnson isn't letting go of it. So I understand the skepticism. I mean, it's warranted. But, we cover it and draw attention to it to profile it, so you continue to put pressure on, people within your social circles, and the politicians continue to feel pressure. We keep saying more and more and more. Keep going. I want to see more. That's what you have to do. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Amy and Dan. Let's remember that Sean Casten was part of that. They're the local or Democrat Congress people.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity to get these people out. You can start voting, what is it, next week probably?
Yeah.
No, I think in Illinois, I think it's like September. So the election actually starts. It's only 3 months away.
Yep.
So get involved, get active on those campaigns, because those are seats that can flip it if enough people get upset. I hope the GOP is working on an early voting, get out the vote, targeting low propensity voters and things like that. It can happen in Illinois if enough people, enough of your listeners get upset enough to actually take some action instead of just agreeing with you when they're on their way to work.
Thanks, Kevin.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson here. When you're at the mall and you go to those directory signs, the one that says you are here? Well, imagine that directory is a map of your preparation for retirement. Would you know where you are? My friend Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group is offering you the opportunity to not only find yourself on that map, but also find the route toward a successful retirement. He calls it his retirement roadmap. You'll get an analysis of where you are right now, whether you're at risk if the market drops again, whether you're taking advantage of the latest tax changes, and much, much more. To get an idea where you stand on the road to retirement, call my friend Tom Fortino at the Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-934-1855. That's 630-934-1855. And ask for the retirement roadmap, or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And don't forget to listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560, The Answer, at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
All right, it's warm outside, going to be another great day. Are you unable to enjoy it because of joint pain due to arthritis or an injury? Well, this is the best time for being outdoors. But if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting, don't suffer any longer. Call our good friends at QC Kinetics. It's non-surgical joint pain relief. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. So you can walk, run, hike, play golf, play pickleball, move again, pain-free. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. He's a pioneer in regenerative medicine, and their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility. So stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. They have appointments available on Saturdays, too. And the number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
I'm thinking about what you said about Seacrest replacing Sajak. That's such a good gig getting a game show as a side hustle.
God.
Drew Carey, Price is Right, and you see Steve Harvey had Family Feud. I mean,
yeah,
I got to get a game show.
Game show, big money, little work, lots of fun. And they were going to get rid of Vanna White, but she put up a fight, and thank God they didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
And now
she gets to stay. And
what is her daughter taking over or something?
Vanna White's daughter? No.
Oh, I'm just making stuff up. I don't know. I don't know. I
That's
didn't even
not
know
like
Seacrest
you.
was taking over.
Yeah, June. When's his last day? June.
If Quinn knows. I don't know.
June 7th.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thanks to Quinn for all of his information. He's our executive producer, don't you know? And Justin is our technical producer. That's what he does. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
1 killed, 2 injured after a gunman opens fire over the weekend into a Joliet home. Reds over the Cubs. White Sox swept by the Brew Crew.